Hola a todos. Gracias por estar aquí. Hello, all. Thank you so much for being here. I haven't had a reason to speak Spanish in a long time. I got to turn my volume off on my side here. There we go. Hey, guys, thank you so much for being here. Excuse me. KJ's What Happened, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Normally Fridays, 7 o'clock p.m. My town is, I guess, one of the few that actually opened up this weekend. So I had different things I had to go to see people and whatnot. So had to push it here to Sunday. And I wanted to do it at 2 o'clock because I'm always thinking about our friends overseas. There are people that listen from lots of other countries. And many of these people, when I start my show at 7 p.m. in America, it's like midnight to 2 p.m. their time. So when I get a chance to do one earlier, like at 2 p.m. like this, I'll usually do it so we can all hang out and get everybody in here. But I will be back to Friday nights at 7 next week for the show on the regular, okay? Also, last time I was doing my show, we didn't get to finish. The show was canceled halfway through. YouTube literally stopped the show and then completely removed it and didn't even give me a chance to, what's the word, contest it. There was nothing like that. And they didn't give me a strike. I thought they gave me a strike. There's no strike in my channel either, but they just totally removed the show as if it never even existed while we were doing it live. Some people think it was that Tom Brady video that triggered it. It could have been some of the other things we're talking about. This is one of the reasons why some people will get on me in comments about this after shows. This is one of the reasons why I try not to use certain words, or I try to use other words or get around things. We really have to do that. Some of you may not even have YouTube channels and not realize how serious this is, but this is very serious. They're wiping people out. They have been for the last several years. It's gotten a lot worse. I think I've even got some stories today about that. So they're really coming at people. This past week, a couple people I'm subscribed to, much smaller channels, but they did some live streams and I saw them get cut out too while they were doing it. And then later they talked about the same process. It was the same thing. They didn't get a strike. Their video was just stopped and then totally removed. Who knows? Some people want to say it's a glitch or whatever. I don't know. I just don't trust YouTube, obviously, and it's gotten a lot worse. That's why, when I mentioned I just had my 10-year anniversary here on YouTube, I guess the only real cause for celebration is that I'm still here and that I'm able to still do what I want to do and reach people. But even with that, it's all about prayer for me. It's about that kind of protection because there's not much more you can do. You can watch the words you use, you can try to work around the algorithm. But, at the end of the day, if they want to get you, they're going to get you. So I just ask people, if you don't mind, please pray for the channel and for my work. And there you go, guys. So, hey, thank you. I know that's a lot. I wanted to tackle a few things just before we got started and talk to you guys. But yeah, there's a lot to cover, man. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Want to welcome you once again here. Thank you, moderators, for being here. Big shout out to my Patreon and PayPal supporters, guys. You're keeping me in the game. You have been for a few years now. So thank you so very much. All right. Now let's go ahead and jump into it and take a look at what we've got. It's a lot to get into today. Let's see. First story. This one's kind of crazy. Some of these are going to be a little bit older than the week because they're held over from last week when the show got stopped. 2 Chinese doctors turned black after recovering from COVID-19. 2 Chinese doctors who fell critically ill with the you-know-what found their skin had changed color after surviving the deadly illness. The 2 doctors' skin turned dark due to a type of medicine they were given during the early stages of their treatment. One of the drug side effects is the darkening of skin color. I'd say, look at that. Wow. Look at that. And you want to talk about a country that's really racist towards black people. We're looking at China. Have you seen some of the commercials that come out of China? They have one. I don't even know if I should find it and show it to you because that might be a triggering video, that might get us shut down. But you can look this up. There's an actual commercial for detergent from China. This came out a few years ago. And it's a young, pretty Chinese girl in her apartment. And there's a black man that comes in there and he looks like Nigerian type black, like African type black. Black guy comes in there. She takes the black man, shoves him into the dishwasher or the clothes washer, whatever it is, puts the detergent in there, and then opens it up and pulls out a young white Chinese man. And then it's like happy music, and they're both smiling, and they ride off into the sunset together. Can you imagine them trying to do a commercial like that here in America? No way. I mean, I wouldn't want to see that anyway. We don't like stuff like that, but China, man, that's just one example. So I wonder what these guys' lives are going to be like. I mean, they have a good excuse, but still, it makes me wonder if these guys were super racist themselves. I just wonder. It's speculation. But what an interesting curse that would be given to them if perhaps they were and had done something to black people in the past. I don't know. Makes for a good movie idea, doesn't it? And then all of a sudden, hey, now we're black. Womp, womp, womp. There's been a lot of back and forth news about Kim Jong Un this past week, the Korean dictator. Is he alive? Is he dead? I think the newest stories out now are saying that he's alive. But this past week and a half or so, I mean, every few days I'm seeing different stories come out. He's dead. I saw one his sister was going to take over. Then they're saying it's his uncle. And so just wanted to keep an eye on there. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. Oh, this is from The Guardian. Okay, so I can't play a lot of this. But this is women who care for lifelike dolls. I'll just show you a little bit of this. A growing number of collectors are cuddling, changing, and caring for, quote, reborns, individually crafted baby dolls that can cost up to $20,000. For some, it's about rekindling their baby rearing years. For others, it's about dealing with their own inability to birth real human babies. Despite the finger pointing from outsiders, it's a subculture that's thriving globally. There is a TV series that just came out. I think it was on the Apple app, and it was from M. Night Shyamalan. And I can't remember the name of the show, but it was all about these kinds of babies. It was about, well, it was part of it. Part of it was like a lifelike doll type thing. I won't tell you everything because it gets kind of crazy, but that was my first introduction to this. I thought it was just all for the show, and then I stumbled on this. I'm like, hey, people do this? Okay, let's take a look at some of the babies. Wow. I mean, would you, I don't know, do you have a reason in your life, any kind of a reason in your life to purchase these lifelike baby dolls? I don't know. Is that something you would feel comfortable with? Let's see some more of these things. Yikes. It definitely looks real, huh? But would you want to have something like this in your home and take care of it and treat it like it's a real baby? Why not have a real baby, right? Eek. That looks definitely more dollish, I'd say. Looks like a little baby doll. I guess these are the people that make these things. Yeah, this must be, hi, what's your name? You look nice. This must be the person that creates these things, one of the people. Let's see. There's a couple more. Wow. So weird. So creepy. How about you? You going to run out and get you a lifelike doll anytime soon? Anybody? Any takers? No one wants the free haunted house after former owner shares creepy backstory. A home is up for grabs completely free of charge in Louisiana, United States, but any potential owners are being put off by the chilling stories of former residents and locals. The owners of a home compared to the Amityville horror house are struggling to give it away for free as locals spread stories about it being haunted. The 4-bedroom home in Louisiana, U.S. was built in the 1930s and has gained a spooky reputation, meaning no one has dared to move in despite not having to spend a penny to make it theirs. That's a nice offer. A free house, huh? Any takers? One former resident claims the home is haunted by her great-grandmother, who is well known to stir cooking left unattended in the kitchen and move the pots around. Sylvia McLean, a co-owner of McLean Investments, took to Facebook to share snaps of the home, in a bid to convince someone to move and restore the home so they could build new property on the land. However, it appears potential suitors were put off by a flood of comments below from ex-residents and visitors who reported the creepy goings-on they claimed to have experienced. What do you think, man? I don't know. I'm a bit of an adventurer. Also, I feel like we know what we're dealing with, so I feel maybe if you can get in there and try to exercise these things, just pray about it. I'm not a Catholic priest here, but I don't think you have to be. We have the power as followers of Christ with the Holy Spirit to get rid of demons. You knew that, right? There's 9 manifestations of the Holy Spirit, and that's one of them. So is that what you do? You get a free house and really put that to the test. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? That'd be worth filming. This is in Louisiana. That's not far away from my state. I wonder if I should look into this. I could even film it. I wouldn't film myself, but I'd just film going into it, maybe trying to actually move in, stay for a couple nights and just see what happens. I don't know. I don't know if that realistically can happen. I have, responsibilities where I live and a lease and stuff like that. But what makes me wonder, I don't know. Sylvia admitted she's heard all the stories about it being haunted by an old woman and said former owners had even had ghost hunters in to banish her. But she remains hopeful the history of the home can be saved and it's free for anyone to take on to move to another location for restoration. Oh, you moved the house to a different location. Okay, I got it. Former resident Dawn Vallet DeClout claims the house is occupied by the spirit of her great-grandmother Adele, a 4-foot 9-inch tall woman who lived until about 90 and was known for meddling in the kitchen. Dawn's family owned the 160-acre plot. Wow, that's nice, 160 acres. Plot the house was built on from 1860, and her great-grandmother died in front of the room in 67. All right, cool. That might be the ghost right there. Boo! Didn't scare me, Grandma. I saw you coming. There you go. That's not a ghost or anything. I think that's Dawn. That's the lady that's in the article. Not a ghost. That's Dawn. Okay. Pretty cool. Free haunted house, maybe. True crime fans get paid to watch 24 hours of grisly murder documentaries. Documentary streaming service Magellan TV wants someone to watch 16 gruesome accounts of notorious murders and dark dealings in just 48 hours while live streaming the experience. Sounds like a form of torture or mind control. Investigation Discovery, I've done some videos on that in the past, which is one of those networks, and that's all they do is true crime. It's just 24 hours a day of really grisly murder and scary stories. And there's some shows on there I watch and I've liked throughout the years, but even with that, I found I have to take it myself in small doses. It's all evil stuff, man. These are monsters being caught in real life monsters doing really evil things. And it's a network where 24 hours a day, it's nothing but that stuff. And I even showed how, their symbol is the box, and it's the cube of Saturn. And in the cube, they have your ID, which is your id, right? So the network itself is literally feeding your id, hidden darkest desires and fantasies or fears and all this, but it's feeding that 24 hours a day. Your mind is trapped in the box of Saturn or Satan. It's crazy, So I don't know if I could do a full 24 hours of just watching that stuff nonstop myself, but you might be into that. I don't know. Maybe you're a psychopath. I don't know. I know you can take it. Obviously, look at the material I get into throughout the years. I take breaks from it also, but knowing we're protected by a lot of these things as well. But even with that, I know better than to just sit there and watch evil stuff, evil deeds, hour after hour after hour. It's just not good, man. It's not good. So if you're a true crime fan who can handle the real life stories of the world's most infamous serial killers and haunting details of the paranormal, Magellan TV may have the perfect job for you. The documentary streaming service wants to put one candidate to the test by putting them through a terrifying 24-hour binge of back-to-back horror stories while live streaming the whole thing to see if they crack. Okay. The bill for the all-night Fright Fest consists of 16 titles, including Manson's missing victims, tortured to death, murdering the nanny, and last confessions of the cannibal. Here's everything you'll be expected to binge. There's all the shows. If you manage to complete the task, you'll be given $1,000, a free year's subscription to Magellan TV, and a 3-month membership for 3 of your friends or family. Okay, there you go, guys. There you go. There's your money. You can make $1,000, $1,000, $1,000. Severed head discovered in San Francisco refrigerator during missing persons investigation. I don't know why I threw this one in. Maybe just the severed head stuff always freaks me out when people really go that far. Total dehumanization, like taking parts off. It's just like, what? Why? Authorities in San Francisco who were executing a search warrant related to a missing person case Sunday made a grim discovery in an apartment. The San Francisco Police Department said in a brief statement that a body was discovered Sunday afternoon inside the apartment. Homicide investigators from San Francisco Police both responded to the scene. A severed human head was discovered in the refrigerator of their apartment. The body was not been identified by police. They need an editor. That must be the first thing all these news agencies fired when they started going down the hole, is their editors. I always find these mistakes in stories. Anyway, that's about it. Not much more there, man. I just thought that was kind of weird. Something I stumbled on. Moving on. Police in India revealed device to detain coronavirus lockdown violators without contact. I think this is a news story. Let's see. Maybe. I'm hoping there's some images here. There it is. That's what I was looking for. Come on, story. Play. Here we go.
India now responding quickly to the COVID-19 virus, ordering a 21-day lockdown to prevent the spread of the virus. India's 1.3 billion people will now remain in their homes for the duration. Streets in normally busy cities virtually empty. Only essential services are allowed to.
They have less than 1,000 cases. Why it was so bad in India than many of the other countries.
Look at some of these pictures and you see
afford food or water here.
Major concern too.
I'm just going to read the story myself. Let me see here. Let me go back. It's not what I was thinking it was going to be. Now I can't go back. There we go. Authorities in India have debuted a unique device meant to detain those who are not cooperating with virus lockdown while maintaining social distancing. The police department in the northern Indian city of Chandigarh shared a video Saturday on Twitter. VIP security wing of Chandigarh police has devised this unique way of tackling non-cooperating suspects and curfew breakers. And there it is. So it'd be nice to see some video of this. It says they can't access the tweet, so it must have been taken down. In the clip, a group of uniformed police officers can be seen standing next to a flatbed truck. One of the officers extends a lengthy hand-operated metal trapper device. It's like it being in a video game, and locks it around the body of a man. The officer then guides him back to the truck. Wow, they're really doing this. It's crazy. The device appears to resemble a claw-like grabber that many use to pick up trash. There you go. The picture really says it all. Unreal. These people. I'm getting really tired myself of seeing people running around with their masks. Even out here, it's just like, really, people? I mean, just imagine the different realities everyone's living right now. There's people who really believe that this is just this wicked killer, unlike anything we've ever seen before. It's out there. It's getting everybody. It's going to wipe out humanity. Meanwhile, all the numbers show us something completely different. That's why they keep saying that now the hospitals are saying they're classifying deaths that aren't attributed to the coronavirus to it anyway. They're just blanket statement, all of it associated with this. That has something to do with covering their ass. I mean, I'm surprised they got away with it this far, right? But there's a lot of people who are awake and aware and realize this was more scared than anything else. And we'll see, man. We're on the verge of some really I was making videos about a potential civil war here in America, another one for the last few years. I've done a few of those. And man, if ever we weren't super close, we were really close to that. Can't you see? Because every state's reacting different to this. Some are going to be locked down for another couple months. I think New York's saying a couple months, Washington, one of these places. Meanwhile, like I said, my city opened up. I went and sat in a restaurant yesterday. It's not quite the same because there was hardly anybody else in there, which I'm okay with, but still the whole reason was to get out and see people. You had to walk through some dumb line, like some zigzag line that made no sense to get up to the place to order. They were all wearing masks. Now they have these huge sheets of plexiglass hanging in front of the registers and stuff. I mean, it just feels weird. I hope that's not what the new normal is, but that might be something they've accomplished. Perhaps, and in some places it probably will be actually the new normal. It's going to be crazy, this whole thing. It's the aftermath that's going to be the concern, not the actual event. It's the aftermath. So anyway, let's move on and see what else we got up here for y'all. Oh, I got a lot of UFO videos. My newest video I'm working on, I'm always working on a couple videos, but the one I'll have out in the next few days or so has to do with UFOs and our alien saviors and all this good stuff, and how the sightings are increasing even more, and more mainstream news coverage as well, all converging to, will it be the event? I'm not sure. Will it be a Project Bluebeam? Will it be an actual visitation from demons shape-shifting into tall white Pleiadian saviors, alien saviors? Anyway, lots of footage. Oh man, gosh darn, I just saw this was put up April 10th, 2020, but it's from 2014. But still, it's worth showing because there's some more in here that are more recent that are the same thing. It's a bunch of orbs together. I just realized it's from 2014. He posted it, though, like I said, April 10th. All right. Anyway, let's take a short look at this, and you'll see some similarities and some other footage coming up from around the world.
It's blurring.
Yeah, these aren't drones. People have been getting this kind of footage for 10 years that I know of, probably even before that. But I've been seeing these types, these flotillas of drones, if you will, for years and years and years. So anyway, here's one. That, of course, is from Japan, but I think I got a couple more lined up. Yeah, here's one. It's from March 26th, 2020. UFOs in Querétaro. Did I say that? Pronounce that right? Querétaro? Not sure where that is. This is from Francisco Salazar. No subscribers. All right, I'm your first subscriber, I guess. Watch some of this. Similar patterns, similar idea, right? These flotillas of orbs.
No, y se ven redonditas, redonditas. Sí, ¿verdad?
Sí, porque si fueran bolsas, pues... Ay, qué raro.
¡Gael!
Mira cómo brilla.
Sí, y esa no se mueve, la de allá, la grandota.
¿Hay una grandota?
Sí, de este lado no, aquí se ve, igual que el sol, aquí se ve grandota.
Right? It's very similar, isn't it? These are a little different, but these are cool the way they move. Check these out. It's from California, April 11th, 2020. Threes as well. I've shown y'all throughout the years, a lot of times they show up in threes and they'll show up as a pyramid, right? Or the unholy trinity is the way I perceive it. Here's another one from April 27th, 2020. This is from the United Kingdom.
No, it's definitely not lanterns.
They're like spinning round. It's got like glow around it, like a propeller or something. But they're tiny. Yeah. And that one's flashing. That one on the far right had a flash.
What is it, man?
They've all got like a helicopter thing on the top, like a propeller. There's more and more of them appearing. There is.
Is there?
Now, I always see this as a form of conditioning. This is why, and as I said, I've been showing videos about these types of anomalies for years. And every year I can show you more news stories. This year there's more UFO sightings than ever before. I mean, it just keeps increasing. So in a sense, when I see these kind of flotillas or these large mass groups of these orbs showing themselves all around the world, it's a kind of soft disclosure, is the way I've always read that. All right, let's take a look at this one here. Yeah, these are really crazy. This is from Peru, April 27th, 2020, Momos Juan TN YouTube channel. Let's check this out.
Avistamiento ovni aquí en Lima, hoy 20 de abril del 2020. Extrañas luces en formación de círculo. Estamos aquí en la zona de...
I mean, right? Do you see what I'm saying? It's a form of a soft disclosure. More and more they're showing up like this and doing things like this in the sky. It's just a way of preparing people. It's the way I see it. Why else? Why else would this be happening? Whether it's spiritual in nature, or some people may think it's all government doing this, but why else would they be doing that? Just to put on a cool light show and make people, put a smile on their face? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Independencia, Lima Norte.
There's that. Check this one out. I don't think it's a flotilla. I think this is a singular. Yeah. Okay. This is a really weird one. I'm going to show you some. This might be something we've seen before in ancient paintings and carvings. It's called a Vermana or a Vimana. There's a whole story about these, a history of these. Some people believe it's like the aircraft of the fallen angels and things like this. But just check this out, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Almost looks like you can see propulsion underneath it, right? Keep watching. I don't think it's a drone or anything like that, and I'll show you why. But he films this for like 5 minutes. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but I don't believe it's a CGI creation either. Keep watching. I'll show you a little more. And just look at that. There's always possibilities, is it a balloon? Is it tethered? I don't see a tether. It looks like it's like there's propulsion underneath it. Maybe it's something someone made, some kind of a craft someone created or something or whatever. I don't know, but I'm going to show you something right after this. It could be a possibility. Maybe it's a Vimana. It just keeps filming it, man. It's right there, hovering. All right, so we got enough of that. You saw that. I think my next thing up there it is. Vimana. This is a story from 7 years ago. It was a 5,000-year-old Vimana unearthed in Afghanistan. It's not so much about this story, but I want to see if I can't show you some of the pictures. You probably really can't make that out that well, but this is an old painting of a Vimana. Let's go back down here. There you go. Here's some old pictures of them. Eastern deities hunting with locals. It's not quite the same thing as what we're looking at, but there's some that do resemble it, you'll see. Here's that old picture. Looks like flying craft. There's some more. There we go. This is more like the traditional Vimana. They almost look like tops. Here it is. There we go. This is the traditional Vimana. This is one I've read about for many years. Found UFO videos throughout the years similar to the one I just showed you that look like these things, potentially. The Vimana. Anyway, something to look into if you're curious. Look up the Vimana. Oh, let's see what is okay. This is it's the next level. Now we're starting to see a lot of people come out and talk about how wearing the actual mask itself can be dangerous. See what I'm saying? And this is kind of one of those articles. I'm not gonna. It's a short one, but I was just reading this earlier. But it goes to this. There's a bigger article here. This is it's from a website called avoidthemark.com. I'd never heard of. Beast system revealed. There you go, sir. It's one of my favorite terms, beast system. It's what we're living in. That's what it is. But I never heard of this website, but I checked this article out from April 22nd, 2020. While you're wearing a mask, the pagan ritual of transformation. This was interesting. I'll read a little bit. Julian Huxley once wrote that the basic elements in cultural transmission and transformation are psychological. This is how we change. Since time immemorial, high rituals have been performed to transform reality. Ritual is a spiritual psychodrama of consciousness, a deliberate action taken to facilitate changes to the whole of the environment people exist in, starting with the mental landscape of the people themselves, the place where our reality exists is first born in a dream. Artist Sharon Devlin once bluntly described the true purpose of ritual as being a method to alter one's mind. It's a sacred drama in which you are the audience as well as the participant, and the purpose of it is to activate parts of the mind that are not activated by everyday activity. It's a good explanation. I'm saving this article, by the way. That's a good one. Ritual facilitates the mechanics of change through specific mechanisms, a rhythm to sync to merge and flow with, a magnetic draw, drawing one on the path towards transmutation. Rituals are vehicles driving home those ideas, the information, the data, the symbols which upon transmission create the language by which new society members communicate after they are initiated. This new language imparts a new understanding through definitions that the ritual generates. A ritual initiation introduces and inducts one into the way, a new way of life or a worldview, a program to guide beliefs and actions, enabling the initiate to become a full and true member of the new society. Note that ritual isn't always a conscious action. Not everyone partaking in a ritual is made explicitly aware. Think like your Super Bowl halftime shows, your Grammy Awards performances, some of these things, that they are participants. And I've talked about this before. That's the intention behind the symbols. People ask, what do the symbols do? Why are they bad? There's intention there. And oftentimes with predictive programming, like the 911 stuff and all this, we're included in the spell without even realizing it, right? So note that ritual isn't always a conscious action. Not everyone partaking in a ritual is made explicitly aware that they are participants. And yet still, new patterns of thoughts of significance are drummed in, conscious or not, of the ritual in which the initiate is partaking. The three stages of initiation ritual. Initiation ritual typically involves these stages. Let's see if any of this sounds familiar to you. The first stage is isolation for purification. In this stage, the initiate is separated from the mundane. Did you know that mundane literally means of the world? The initiate is largely removed from the otherwise familiar persons, places, and things that they're used to in order to be cleared of them. An initiate is forced to become detached and insulated, purged and purified. An essential element of this separation from one's typical environment is the suspension of the normal rules of living that one is used to, the normal way. Most of the initiate's senses will become commanded and regulated at this time. In other words, the majority of what the initiate sees, hears, smells, touches, and tastes is deliberately controlled. In the ritual, starting to sound familiar, right? The mask ritual. I see where this guy's going with this. In the ritual, these senses may be bombarded, modified, limited, or deprived, but regardless, perceptions and experiences are ultimately overseen by the high priest and priestesses directing the ritual's performance. The ritual enables new light to shine through a newly opened window of thoughts. With nowhere else to go except the places that were allowed, the insulated, isolated, initiated may be forced to confront his or her own reflection and inner shadows that have been ignored or buried somewhere deep beneath the average day-to-day. These things suddenly become unavoidable. Triggers are detonated, another purge. Just as they involve surrender, initiation rituals also involve sacrifice. Both the tangible that can be held in that hand and the intangible, such as behaviors, must be given up by requirement. After all, for something to be given, something must also be taken. A token of submission, an ounce of blood, a pound of clay to be remodeled. Whether dramatically overt or deceitfully subtle, the ritual reinterprets reality. A new definition of reality is then given. Training in the form of new behaviors and knowledge, including myths and codes, are introduced. Things necessary for new members to function properly in the society they're being inducted into are all imbued during this time. Repetition is typical, as its use helps hammer home the spell on the initiates. The wearing of the masks during an initiation ritual is almost always required. Masking has traditionally played an important role in the rituals of these kinds. Disguised under a mask and hidden away, the initiate is more easily able to transcend the self, pushed forward toward that invisible line between the physical and spiritual realms. Trauma is yet another key aspect of this kind of initiation ceremony. It's used mostly to personalize the fear of death. Sometimes in the ritual, the act of dying is ceremonial role played, the dark beyond the darkness, the yawning abyss. Only after death is confronted can the initiated be symbolically resurrected and reborn anew. While the process that is playing out, that reminded me of boot camp. Boot camp, I was in the boot camp. It's a form of mind control too. They break you down and build you anew. You become a new person, right? While the process that is playing out is quite coordinated and sophisticated in reality, it may be executed in a purposefully confusing manner, so that the goalposts seem to keep moving back and forth, up and down. Here now, they're immediately after. This renders the initiate unable to find solid mental ground from which to make logical sense of anything. This disorientation is key in the transformation ritual. The uncertain timing generates a general anxiety, further removing the initiate from reality while leaving him or her more susceptible to a type of Pavlovian conditioning. This weakens the defenses just as a virus would, only this has the potential to break down the individual much more completely than a virus. Whatever the finer details, the previous way of life is shed like an old skin at the end of the ritual, and the end that comes before the new beginning. The change begins. It's very long, or it's almost, actually, it's not as long as I thought. It's all comments. So actually, it looks like we actually kind of finished it. All right, good, cool. There you have it. From Beast System Revealed, or avoidthemark.com. They didn't say who wrote it. I would have given credit. But I thought that was good. It's good stuff. Swedish City to dump ton of chicken manure in park to deter visitors. And stuff like this. You know, here in America, last week we had a story that a local police department went and dumped a bunch of sand on a skate park in California to keep the kids from going out there and skating. Do we really need to be going this far, guys? Come on. Again, this is just where, you know, this is circus world. The university town of Lund in Sweden is to dump a ton of chicken manure in its central park in a bid to deter up to 30,000 residents from gathering there for traditional celebrations to mark Walpurgis night on Thursday. Walpurgis. Lund could very well become an epicenter for the spread of the virus on the last night in April, so I think it was a good initiative, the chairman said. We get the opportunity to fertilize the lawns, and at the same time it will stink, and so it may not be so nice to sit and drink beer in the park. Ugh. I get enough of this. These little tyrants. I told y'all that's what this would show, especially here in America, is the little tyrants. You know, the different governors and mayors. They've never experienced power like this, these people. Never. And some of them are eating it up. They love it. They love it. Churchgoers must register with the government in Kansas City. This is from May 1st. Kansas City, Missouri, officials are now requiring every church to submit a list of members and attendees along with their names, addresses, and telephone numbers to city officials for tracking and surveillance purposes. Okay. I'm running out of adjectives to describe how completely insane the tyrannical abuses launched by state governors and local officials against pastors and churches are becoming. It's as if these leaders never bothered to so much as glance at the Constitution they swore to uphold and defend. They seem to be governing from some make-believe dystopian viewpoint. Yes. Yesterday, we received a desperate call from a Kansas City, Missouri church whose local government is reaching new and terrifying heights and destroying our constitutional freedom. Kansas City government is now demanding that churches turn over membership lists along with names, telephone numbers, and physical addresses of anyone who enters a church. Oh my gosh, guys, stand up. Stand up. You got to fight against stuff like this. Some of you may not be used to fighting, and you may find yourself in some of these situations in your towns or cities, and you may be forced to stand up. That doesn't mean do something violent. It means just go let your voice be heard. Be a body. Get with other people. Get out there, and stand up. Unbelievable. You can't let stuff like this happen. Can't let this happen. The new order states that by recording names and contact information, the health department will be able to more quickly trace, test, and isolate individuals who may have been exposed. What does this have to do with church? The Germans did this very thing to the JOOZ, collecting the names and locations of all known synagogue attendees in the early days of the regime. Never in our wildest dreams could we have imagined these kinds of measures designed to surveil, track, and spy upon what was once a free American people. Yeah, this is exactly what Kansas City's misguided government officials are now demanding. Wowzers. Okay, this is from Liberty Counsel, and if you want to look that up, or just the story, I'm sure it's all over the place. Churchgoers must register with the government in Kansas City. Jeepers. Washington National Guard joins virus contact tracing effort as UW develops app. So I think I'm going to, these are all the next steps. As I said earlier, it's going to be the aftermath is what we got to watch. It wasn't the event so much. Now it's the aftermath. And now we see, as I'd said in videos prior to this about this whole situation, it's a chance for them to start fully instilling that kind of beast system, that finalized beast system, a lot of which we saw the beginnings of in China, and now they're bringing all that over here to America. Social credit systems. Now we got this right here, contact tracing, going to be more facial recognition. I've covered this in some videos, but we see that. We see the development of this. And we see they don't have an easy, they're not just able to just do it. There's people standing up and fighting against it. But there has to be, man. That's where we're at. We are in a crazy battle right now, man. This is a real war. It really is. And the tares or the goats among us are really showing who they are. And it's becoming a lot more obvious. Governor Jay Inslee announced Wednesday that the state is recruiting 1,500 people to help the state with its contact tracing efforts. I've got a good plan, which is another iteration of our plan from the health department. We're going to have 1,500 people, including members of Washington National Guard, work on that effort. Spokesperson for the state health department said they're already begun training hundreds of staff members and volunteers to assist in contact tracing. The contact tracing initiative that we are embarking on now is really unprecedented for the public health system. I mean, we are thinking way beyond what we could have imagined having in our public health system. I think that right there says just the difference between where we were at the beginning of the outbreak and the type of response we feel we need to have moving forward, which means a lot more power in the medical system's control. It'll be a part of it. It's going to be a part of it. It's always going to be for our good. We're doing this for your good, guys. That's why you need to take these vaccines. That's why we need to have facial recognition now in your small towns, and you should move into a smart home. That's why we're going to build more smart homes so we can keep track of you, keep an eye on you. Make sure you don't have a temperature or anything. You might be coming down with the you-know-what virus. So just give full control over to us, and we're going to take care of you. You're going to be okay. Yeah. Unprecedented contact tracing efforts to take shape to contain the virus. Contact tracing, man, this is the same story, Jay Inslee again, but I'm keeping an eye on this contact tracing. How will that stomp on our rights? That's the big question. Houston looking at dismantling $17 million temporary hospital that didn't see a single patient. Save this story. Share this one. Let people know that are terrified of this. And oh my God, it's wiping out humanity. We're all going to die. I'm wearing a mask on top of a mask. I mean, let these people know. Again, let them see these things. This is important, Okay. Oh, it's dumb. It's hoping to be like a news story. One thing the virus outbreak has taught us is that we have limited resources, at least when it comes to funding. Consider that the funds set aside for small businesses in the Paycheck Protection Program ran out in a matter of weeks. And that's the federal government. State governments have even less budgetary room to play around with, and counties have even less. So imagine what Harris County, home to Houston, must be feeling right now, given that when it's all said and done, they will have spent about $17 million on a temporary hospital that has yet to see a single patient. That is so huge. It shows you the fear they were putting out, how scared these people were. We got to build a temporary hospital. $17 million. It's ridiculous. According to KPRC TV, the virus hospital could have cost Harris County as much as $60 million. Instead, the final price tag will be likely around $17 million, even though the facility did virtually nothing, which is why it could soon be closed. Construction on the temporary medical shelter began just over 2 weeks ago and was finished in a matter of days. It features 250 beds and is equipped to handle an influx of you-know-who virus patients. We don't want to be caught flat-footed, Harris County judge said. Back when officials thought the hospital was necessary, we're working to stay ahead of this. Oh, goodness. Dumb. Look at that. Here's another one. Show your friends. I'm wearing a mask on top of my mask. I'm terrified. This is strange. Total U.S. deaths in March 2020 are actually down 15% from average of prior 4 years. The numbers aren't adding up. South Dakota considers first state bill to outlaw all vaccine and medical mandates. Now you're talking, South Dakota. Let's see some more of this. Who owns your body? A growing number of legislators in South Dakota believe you do. They have introduced a bill to not only end these vaccine mandates in the state, but all future medical mandates that may be introduced in generations to come. 115 years ago this month, the U.S. Supreme Court made a decision that because there was a deadly smallpox epidemic, the city of Cambridge, Massachusetts was allowed to charge a pastor $5 to opt out of a citywide vaccine mandate. The law didn't apply to children. That precedent has been the basis for the mandate of dozens of now liability-free vaccines for children and adults where no epidemic or even one case exists at the cost of thousands or even hundreds of thousands per year to opt out. It's even the basis on which the Supreme Court ruled that women can be forced sterilized for the good of themselves and society, of course. Bad precedent, plus a century, has resulted in the legalization of actual war crimes. The current vaccine mandate enforcement drive by Merck and friends has driven our community and those who never questioned vaccines before now back to a basic question at hand here. Who owns your body? The knee-jerk reaction and normal human response for Americans is, I do. But that's not what most governments believe. Even under our Constitution of individual liberties, governments strive to control even your medical choices, and if they can't, they'll find a reason to justify it and the means to carry out their will. In 21st century America, there are no deadly epidemics of communicable disease, despite the fact that we are subject to constant fear campaigns that one is coming. In fact, no such event has happened in my lifetime. If the fearmongers want to scare you into fearing deadly epidemics, they have to go back more than 100 years. So the circumstances for the justification of the government's actions in Jacobson versus Massachusetts exists only in the history books. So in this age of medical tech, including vaccines that most people want, why do mandates still exist? And if Jacobson can justify the sexual mutilation of women, then what else can it justify as medical technology progresses over the next century and beyond? It's a good question. What new medical interventions and body tech will the Gates Foundation invent and convince or bribe governments and NGOs to force people into utilizing? And where will the battle to end coerced medical care begin? I submit to you that it's begun in South Dakota today. South Dakota House Majority Representative Lee Qualm, Republican, has introduced HB 1235, an act to revise provisions regarding immunizations. The bill repeals all vaccine mandates in the state. Wow. South Dakota would be the first U.S. state to have no vaccine mandates at all, joining other governments like the UK, Japan, and Canada in uncoerced vaccine decision-making. But the bill goes even further. It ends medical mandates altogether. Awesome. The state of South Dakota would function under the truth that you own your body and codifies into law that you make your own medical decisions and no one can coerce your choices or discriminate against you because of them. Awesome. I love that. That's good. Keep an eye on that. It's from ageofautism.com. South Dakota considers first state bill to outlaw all vaccine medical mandates. Rise in young men bored by mainstream prawn, turning to child sex abuse for kicks. Okay, this can't be good. Regular readers of this column will know that I have penned tens of thousands of words on the impact prawn has had on our society. The way it is mainstreaming sex violence inside of romantic relationships, poisoning a generation of young people with vile ideas about sex, creating a spike in child-on-child sexual assaults, devastating the social bonds we depend on for our happiness. But believe it or not, it's getting worse. As I've written before, there is nothing that pornography cannot poison, and now police in the United Kingdom are warning that young British men between the ages of 18 and 26 are emerging as a new group of online pedos after being brought up on a staple diet of prawn. In an interview with the Internet Watch Foundation's podcast, Pixels from a Crime Scene, Norfolk Police Chief Constable Simon Bailey, the officer in charge of National Child Protection, noted that the UK is the world's third largest consumer of child pornography, or as the Metro put it, online child abuse. Exposure to pornography at a young age can often lead men to seek out increasingly perverse versions of prawn in their search for novelty. Many studies have confirmed that that's how prawn functions. It's like a drug. And now digital pornography is creating a generation of pedos, men who are aroused by naughty acts with children. According to Bailey, these men have been desensitized to the digital prawn they initially used and eventually began to seek out illegal stuff featuring horrific crimes featuring the abuse of kids. They get to the point where there's no prawn material that is stimulating to them, so then they start to explore, well, what child abuse imagery might look like. Bailey told the Internet Watch Foundation they start getting their kicks from that. Okay, I get it. We don't need to read anymore. That's really gross and perverted and distorted, but something to keep your peepers on if you are a young man or if you have a young man in your family. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Moms occupy children's playground in protest against the lockdown. The demonstrators in Basingstoke, Hampshire, claimed coronavirus deaths have been exaggerated and have vowed to meet every week in defiance of social distancing measures. One of them said, "We want to save our rights. We believe the number of people dead from the virus is exemplified." Yeah, extra numbers are being added into it, so we don't want to be unlawfully rejected or kept inside. Good for you. Stand up. I love it. UK is standing up. United Kingdom standing up. Good. Cool. Do it. Do that. Lawyer dresses as Grim Reaper to scare people off beaches amid the virus pandemic. Come on, man. It's another one of those stories, just what the fear does to people. You know, this guy or gal, so scared. I'll show them. Look at all of them out there with their tan skin and their white teeth, their beautiful bodies. They're all happy, playing games and drinking beer, smoking weed. I'll show them. I'll show them all. It's the end. A lawyer is shot to fame after dressing as the Grim Reaper to scare people off newly reopened beaches in his virus-ravaged state. Daniel Ohlfelder donned the creepy black hooded shroud and toted a fake Sith to tour the beaches of Walton County in Florida. He disagrees with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' decision to allow people back onto some of the beaches and hopes his frightening costume will remind beachgoers of the potential risk of disobeying social distancing guidelines. What a dork. Let's see what he has to say.
Good morning, Chris. I'm at Miramar Beach Access 49 here in Walton County, and today is a pretty big day. The beaches are fully reopened for the first time in more than a month. And while some residents are happy, some are not. And one of those people is Walton County resident and Florida lawyer Daniel Ohlfelder. Today, he's going to be protesting the beaches being open, all while dressed as the Grim Reaper. And I'm actually joined by him now. I'm going to step out of the frame and hand him the mic so he can explain why he's here and why he is dressed the way that he is. Daniel?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm here today to try to make a point that we need to, I think it's premature that we open our beaches. I'm a huge proponent of public beaches, and I've been fighting for that for years, but I think that the danger of bringing all the people here to our area and spreading the virus, and I think it's going to prolong the recovery we have, and I think that...
Whatever, Karen. And he's got that little soft, little trembly kind of voice that so many of these maniacal, extreme, Marxist leftists in America, you can't even call them liberals anymore. But I've showed y'all that before. Like so many times, these are these little nubbish little men with these soft little voices. Hi, we're creating a digital vaccine. It'll be good for all of you. You see, they always have that kind of Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
We should take better measures, and we're drawing people from all over the world to our beautiful beaches. It's too soon, and it's not appropriate.
Okay, whatever, Karen. Student offs himself after becoming overwhelmed with the lockdown. Ben Brown, 22, from Gloucester. Never know if I'm saying that right. Is it Gloucester? From Gloucester? Took his own life in the early hours of Monday morning after he wrote a letter to his mother explaining that he struggled mentally when he wasn't on the go. Helen Hartery Brown, 54, said how Ben had been living with housemates at the University of Loughborough in Leicester. I don't know if I'm pronouncing these right. Leicester. During lockdown and communicating with his family. She said he was on lockdown in Loughborough with two of his housemates from university. We video called him at 6 p.m. the night before he took his life. He was very close to his mom. My last words to him were, I love you millions. His last words to me were, I love you too, Mom. The night before he died, he didn't express how he was feeling about lockdown when he spoke to his loving parents. It was only in a letter that he expressed his thoughts. That is a shame. That's really one of the worst things ever is losing your child. I told y'all, when I had my heart attack a couple of years ago now, that was my prayer, is just, let me at least outlive my parents, and I mean it. I'm real close to my parents too, and that would just annihilate them. I know, not trying to build myself up, but my parents are pretty crazy about me, I gotta say. So, and for any parents out there listening now who may have lost a child, my heart goes out to you, and I know that's got to be just the worst. Can you imagine this situation here, though, like this, huh? I mean, they even talked to him on the phone. The lockdown had a massive impact on him, Helen said. Ben had not spoken to anyone about how he was feeling. He found it all too overwhelming. He said in a letter to me he had thoughts when he was at rest, and that is why he is a million miles an hour. What? He said in the letter to me he had thoughts when he was at rest, and that is why he was a million miles an hour. He was busy all the time because he did not want to be alone with his thoughts. Helen doesn't want others to suffer like her boy did. She wants other people of any age to tell their loved ones or friends how they're feeling and know they're not alone. And if there's anyone listening right now to this show that's feeling that way, I hope you're really hearing this and taking that in. If you're feeling this way and you feel like, a better option is just dipping out of this world, I hope you're listening to this, man. There's always somebody out there who you're going to affect in a negative way by doing that. Always. And, as a follower of Christ, as someone who believes in the Creator, Lord, He doesn't give us these paths in life of just destruction and sadness. A lot of times it's what we choose by making bad choices. But you can always turn it around. It's the beauty of life, man. People can make huge changes. You can turn everything around. You just got to get in it. You gotta be a participant. We can't sit on the sidelines and just pray that Jesus is going to take care of it all the time and then get mad when nothing happens. You know, it's not that God's not helping us, but we got to help ourselves too, you know? Anyway, there's that. Oh, there we go. We already did that one, didn't we? Outcry of Spanish beach sprayed with bleach. Here's another one of these people, these little monsters, all because of the virus. Zahara de los Atunes near Cadiz used tractors to spray more than 1.2 miles of beach with a bleach solution a day before Spain allowed children out of lockdown for the first time. Unbelievable, man. Gosh. Environmentalists say that the move caused brutal damage to the local ecosystem. I should say so. Spain has been badly affected with 23,800 deaths. It recently announced a 4-phase plan to lift its stringent lockdown measures and return to a new normality by the end of June. She said the bleach killed everything on the ground. Nothing is seen, not even insects. The beach and its dunes are protected breeding and nesting places for migratory birds, and Miss Iglesias said she had seen at least one nest with eggs destroyed by the tractors. Bleach is used as a very powerful disinfectant. It is logical that it be used to disinfect streets and asphalt, but here the damage has been brutal, she said. They have devastated the dune spaces and gone against all the rules. It's been an aberration what they have done, also taking into account that the virus lives in people, not on the beach. It's crazy. Yeah. I'll come back to that. I want to jump over here for a little bit. I want to watch some videos for a second. This is a really, really, really cool capture of a UFO. It's a UFO Snowbird, Utah, it says. This is an older one, though, okay? It's just something I wanted to share with you guys because I'd stumbled on this a while back, and I just want to show you, man. Look how interesting this one is, and I don't know what this one is. I found this when after I found the Vimana, and I was going down the Vimana rabbit hole and started looking up old clips and videos and stuff. So this was one of them that's out there, but I still just wanted to share it with you. I think it's a good one. It's from Still Hope YouTube channel, 4 subscribers. Make that 5, sir. UFO Snowbird, Utah. Check this out. I guess there's no audio. What do you think about that? It's real far away. Now, is it changing shapes? Seems like it did, didn't it? Went from this to this. And then it starts coming back. Here we go. Cool, huh? Interesting. I think that's pretty much it. There you go. What could it be? Oh, okay. This is from Amazing Polly on Twitter. This goes back to that contact tracing thing. Like, I've been seeing a lot of it in the news, obviously. You've seen some stories here. The Clintons want to recruit an army of contact tracers that will hunt down infected individuals and interrogate them about who they associate with so they can be quarantined in a, quote, dignified manner. And they've already begun hiring people for this job. I've already shown you several stories. I may have to do a video on the contact tracing will be just another part of some of the other elements they're bringing in, like the drones and things like this. I'll do a bigger video on this, on the aftermath, or maybe just do a live show. Maybe that'll be a good one to have Jeff on again for, and we'll talk about some of the aftermath here. Anyway, check this out.
What you have to be able to do is to track people who are positive. Where were they? Who were they in contact with? How can you hem up any recurrence of this? Should we have, like you did with California did with the Conservation Corps of young people, should we have a contract tracer corps, even if we call it something more elegant? Should we really build the first public health network we've ever really built in this country around this issue?
The predicate for getting back to some semblance of normalcy is our ability to identify individuals through testing, to be able to trace their contacts, to isolate individuals.
That's tyrant Governor Gavin Newsom, California.
Or quarantine people that are tested positive. And that's just going to require an army of folks and the capacity of consideration from individuals to allow for their privacy to be impacted by that kind of acuity of attention based upon where they've been and who they talk to.
This virtual group of contact tracers would contact anybody who's tested positive to learn about their recent activities, who they may have been in contact with. We had something like 7,000 people, 9,000 people apply within the first couple of days to be contact tracers so that we can actually use people who are out of place, out of work rather.
I hope you heard that okay. I know the audio is a little low, but they already have 7,000 people that have applied to be contact tracers. The government loves, elements of the government loves stuff like this, creating new branches, creating new little groups, creating their own little armies of people. That's where, to me, you see this potential of even a civil war again, I think, of in America. If these different little groups and governors and mayors and other, again, just groups in the government start doing things like this and creating their own little armies of these little tattletales. And these will be armies of these will be the full-on lefty dum-dums out there, like the Antifa types and stuff like this, the dum-dum kids, the full-on loony left, no logic, no reason, no common sense, just authority, right? Well, it's going to be filled with people like that, like Bernie Bros, people like this who really just want to see America destroyed anyway. That's the way I see it. So what happens if we start getting all these little groups of little armies of these little monsters all through America, and every state's reacting differently, and the stuff starts spilling over into other states, and then these little armies of monsters start chasing people around and going to people's homes? You don't think that could create? I don't want to see it happen. I'm just saying we see the potential, the possibilities of these things, This is a documentary. I highly suggest. It's. I'm really surprised it's still on YouTube. But hey, then again, as I said, God works in His own ways. We have to pray about stuff, make sure information's out there, can stay out there. A lot of it's been erased up to now. We know this, but the Trayvon hoax, unmasking the witness fraud that divided America. The reason I liked this so much is because this is what a real investigator looks like. Let me see if I can find him. Here he is. This is what a real investigator looks like. If I can find him. Where is he? Come on, man. There he is. I mean, I'm not saying you have to look that way to be an investigator. I'm just saying if you watch this documentary, this is what a real investigator does. This is what a real journalist should be doing. I mean, journalism is so dead in America. Now it's just different sides. It's Pepsi or Coke. It's cheering for your own side and hating the other. That's what it's turned into. But there are still people out there that are wonderful journalists and do really good work. I don't even know who this guy is. I know his name's in here somewhere. Joel Gilbert, maybe that's him. I'm going to I think that is him. I'll subscribe there. He did a really good job, man. So Joel Gilbert, please check this out. Trayvon hoax, unmasking the witness fraud that divided America. Wow. Okay. Wow. I'd say it's worth your 2 hours. If you're looking for something informative to watch, check it out. Just sharing. Now we got this Becoming with Michelle Obama. Of course, she gets her Netflix show because, her and Obama, her and Barack have signed some kind of a deal with Netflix where they get to do all these documentaries and whatever else. This is one I talked about way back when the book first came out. I talked about it on this show, kind of trying not to mock it, but kind of thinking how funny it is that her book was called Becoming Michelle Obama, when many of us believe that that's actually Michael Robinson, that Michael Robinson really did become Michelle Obama, that this is his alter ego. And that's a level, if you really want to wake people up, that's a level you can take them to, because that's nuts, isn't it? But when you realize that goes to show you how easy it is to fool millions and millions of people all around the world. This whole time, this was a transgender, still is. She's a transgender. Right before our eyes, right? Yet so few people see. Called her the most beautiful woman in America back in the day and all this other stuff. I mean, come on, man. But now there's a show. It's just more of a mockery. Remember, even Joan Rivers said, they all know. Everyone in the system knows, and Hollywood and all that it's Michael. But look at this. This is like, so they're all seeing it through a different set of eyes. Like, oh, wow, this is Michael talking about becoming Michelle, But then the rest of the people are like, oh, wow, man. She's a hero. She's a hero for black women all around the world and stuff like this. But there's Michael Robinson becoming Michelle Obama. I'm sure this will be really woke, like, in the most obnoxious and annoying way possible. There you have it. Fact check. Hospitals get paid more for listing patients as having the C19, even if they show few symptoms. That's what I was telling y'all earlier, man. They're lying about it. A Minnesota state senator, who also happens to be a doctor, has come forward to reveal how hospitals are getting more in funding if they list more patients as having the 19, even if the patients are more likely to have something else, such as pneumonia. The issue is the loose definitions of the terms probable and presumed and how those terms can be applied. This is less on the doctors themselves and more on the healthcare administrators. Even the leftist media is confirming this is true. USA Today reports Senator Scott Johnson, Republican Minnesota, a physician in Minnesota, was interviewed by the Ingraham Angle host Laura Ingraham on April 8th on Fox News and claimed hospitals get paid more if Medicare patients are listed as having C19 and get 3 times as much money if they need a ventilator. That's why New York City was asking for like 400,000 ventilators, remember? And then they found out they had like thousands of them stored in some place that weren't even being used. It's all about that money, getting that C19 money. Here's a brief article. I don't want to read it, but okay. There you go. There you go. That's what they're doing. That's what they do. They lie. They're liars. They're liars. This is a video that, let me see. I think this one got removed. It did. Let's see. This video is a stunning indictment of New York Governor Cuomo and Red Bill de Blasio, but the Democrat media complex will make sure none of this gets out. I'm sure YouTube will take it down. Facebook did. Share. So, this is on sonsoflibertymedia.com. And the video is called Insane Mur DR. Going on in NYC hospitals, RN discloses, goes viral. I don't think I'm going to blow this up for the whole screen because sometimes that's what may trigger some of these weird things that happen with these live shows. I'll just kind of play in the window it's at, but we'll check some of this out.
Case everywhere. I'm confident. I have friends that are in other places. They're on the front lines. They're in ICU. And it's not like this everywhere. But in New York City right now, in some of the hospitals, this is what is going on. People are sick, but they don't have to stay sick. They are killing them. They are not helping them. She used the word murder, coming from a nurse who went to New York City expecting to help. Patients are left to rot and die. Her words. She has never seen so much neglect. No one cares. They are cold and they don't care anymore. It's the blind leading the blind. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I was on with some nurse friends of mine, and we were discussing different medications that could be used to potentially help people. Doctors who were reporting around the country that they were using a combination of medications that were helping people. People were not dying when they were on these medications. They were getting better. Those medications are not being used in hospitals in New York City. What is happening is that they're putting people on nasal cannula. If they require more than 6 liters of nasal cannula, they get intubated, they go on the vent, or they get trached if there's not enough vents. They don't get high flow, no non-rebreather, no non-invasive ventilation, no CPAP, no BiPAP. They're on a closed system, the ventilator, versus a CPAP or a BiPAP for fear that it will spread the virus. Which, by the way, I know a nurse in Florida who was fired for exposing that about CPAP and BiPAP and patients being put on the ventilator, like straight away to the ventilator, to be on a closed system. The patients don't know any better. They don't have family with them. There is no one there with them to advocate for them. So they are scared and they give consent. The ventilators have high PEEP, high pressure, which then causes barotrauma. It causes trauma to the lungs. Dr. Siddell, Cameron Kyle Siddell, a few weeks ago put out a video. He's in New York City, and he put out a video saying something is not right, like we're not treating this correctly. We're doing something wrong. This doesn't make sense. They pulled his video from YouTube and they took him out of ICU because they couldn't have one doctor going against the grain, going against their protocol. The protocol is propofol or some kind of sedation because they're on the ventilator and IV antibiotics. There's no hydroxychloroquine. They're not using that combination with Zithromax. They're not using zinc, vitamin C, high doses of vitamins A and D. They laugh. This is what she's told me. They laugh at that. She says, this is a nightmare. It's out of a horror movie, and I don't want to be a part of this. There are people who are a full code, and yet, if they crash, they're not doing compressions because it will spread the virus.
I'll pause for a second. We'll continue a little bit more in a minute. One of my friends who's watching, I get friends who will watch sometimes, they text me and said that after this video came out originally, that the next day a doctor at that hospital took his life. Now, this first I heard of it. I don't know. Y'all can look that up on the side if you want. I'd be interested to find out. And I wonder if it's the doctor she's talking about right now, this Kyle guy. So, if you're interested, look that up. That could be interesting. This could be a whole thing right here, a bigger story than what we know. It also, I wanted to say it reminded me of a movie I watched this weekend called Unplanned. I talked about it here on the show. It's been a very controversial movie because it's based on a true story about a lady that was like a high level administrator for Parenthood, right? Planned P. And it was her conversion over after she had to go into one of the rooms and actually witness on the monitor what it looks like whenever they, take the baby. I'd never seen this kind of thing either. I'd never seen what it looks like. You hear the stories and stuff like this, but you see the images and pictures of what the aftermath is, so it's bad. But wow, man, to see that the way they did it on there in the movie and to see how they actually get rid of it, oof, that's vicious. That is it's so much worse than, I guess, seeing it in a movie. Like, just amplified it for me, obviously. I already knew it was bad. I fight against it. I'm against it. I know it's wicked, and I know it's a sacrifice, all this. But, man, to see it, wow. It's very moving. That was a very powerful little movie there, too. I wasn't sure what to expect. It's not my typical kind of movie I watch, but it was really good. Really good. Check that out. But that kind of reminds me of this also, like this lady, who suddenly realized she's in a horror film. She suddenly realized that she's a part of a very evil organization, something she had loved and dedicated herself to for years. So, and we'll watch a little more of this.
Full code, not doing compressions. Family is not there. They have no one to answer to. No one is being held accountable. A code was called and no one came. So sometimes they're not even resuscitating people. Again, left to rot and die. They're not given blood because we know that the blood is not oxygenated in these COVID patients. We know that. There are doctors all around the world sounding the alarms. These are the drugs that work. This is the pathophysiology of the disease. This is what's happening. And for some reason, it's not changing, even though we know some of us know what's going on. Nothing is changing on the front lines. They stay in the same PPE all shift, except for the top pair of gloves. So 2 pairs of gloves, or I don't know, maybe more than 2, but they're only changing the gloves on the outside. Gown, mask, whatever else stays the same, because all patients are COVID patients. So if it's a COVID floor, it's all COVID, but it's not, because some of them are rule out COVID. So even if they're rule out COVID and they're not COVID, they're going to get COVID because they're using the same PPE all shift, and they're carrying that contamination to all of the patients. They're not changing their PPE. They're not going into rooms. So they're running long tubing into the room so that they can manage the tubing from outside of the rooms. So if they're not going into the rooms, that means they're not assessing the patients as frequently as you would be otherwise assessing your patients.
Okay, I'm going to stop there. I don't think I can play the whole 10 minutes of it, but I want to play some. We got to get 5 minutes out of it. If you want to see the rest of this on YouTube, it's under that title right there, Insane MURDR, going on in NYC hospitals, RN discloses, go viral. I would say share that, check it. And then again, this is the first time I don't know much about this person or anything. I need to maybe look more into it, but you guys can look into it. She feels legit to me, but then again, I don't know, I'm just saying we have to consider all possibilities. There are plenty of attention seekers during these kinds of times as well, so you got to be careful. But if it turns out to be real and legit, that's some scary stuff right there and worthy of a share. So check it out. These are the type of videos I'll download. Like when the show's over, I'll download this one to my computer just to have it, just in case, because I don't know. This could be one of those that's here today, gone tomorrow, Here's one I showed last week. I don't think I can show the video again this week. Maybe that's what got us last week, was showing the video of this. But it was a really worthy story. Predator cop, police chief accused of trying to meet a 14-year-old. He is confronted by an online vigilante group. Very good. Very good. Just classic stuff, man. To me, I don't know about you, but it's always such a great sense of satisfaction when I see these videos of these kinds of guys getting busted, Especially, they got such a high position. This should be a position of honor, right? I mean, not all police are bad. Some people think all police are bad. No, not all police are bad. There's a lot of police in my brother-in-law's side of the family, and they come to all get-togethers, and I've known these people for years, and you hear stories. These are I think these are some of the good guys, because they like telling stories about the bad guys. And eventually the bad guys do get caught and get weeded out. So there are bad guys out there, of course, that are police, but there's also a lot of good guys and good ladies out there too. Anyway, just wanted to follow up. If you want to watch that, this is on the Sun, the U.S. Sun. Worthy video though, definitely. Coco Berthman, a SEX trafficking survivor, discloses Vegas about tunnels and stuff like this. She's talking about the tunnels under Vegas. This is from April 17th, 2020. Let's go ahead and watch a little bit. I don't think I'll make this one full screen either, just in case. And we'll watch and listen to some of what she says here.
And I'm a child trafficking survivor, and I have something to say. My name is Coco Berthman, and I'm a child trafficking survivor, and I have something to say. I survived 15 years of sex slavery that my own family put me through, in particular my mother, who was my main trafficker. I was able to escape 10 years ago at age 15 by running away from home. I was born into trafficking, and I'm already public about this, and for those of you who don't know my story, you can look it up. But what I want to talk about today is something that happened last night, and that just won't let go of me, and I felt really strongly called that I need to put this message out there. I am trained with an organization called Adaptive Operations that performs rescue operations of human trafficking victims. So these are men who work in FBI, CIA, and police officers who volunteer their free time to put their lives in danger and bring freedom to those who are enslaved. Most people don't understand that we have more slaves today than ever before in history. The numbers are staggering, the suffering unprecedented. We have over 40 million people worldwide held as human trafficking victims. The capital of human trafficking is not a third world country. It is here in the United States, and 80% of customers worldwide are American men and women. It is a $53 trillion enterprise worldwide, and it's the most lucrative crime around the world because unlike drugs, you can sell a human being multiple times. Last night, I was invited to go with Adaptive Operations on a rescue mission in Las Vegas. Most of us people associate Las Vegas as the party city, the party capital. Most of you don't know what is happening right underneath the strip. Las Vegas has a tunnel system of tunnels that are not longer used anymore by the city. However, in those tunnels live people. I just want to heads up. This video isn't scripted. It's just going to be blurred out, what comes to my mind. But I went last night, really, really long, with Adaptive Operations and those heroic men to try to find trafficked children who are being trafficked in Las Vegas and who are missing. The tunnel system in Las Vegas, and I want you to please Google Las Vegas tunnel and see how people live down there. These are homeless people that live under the worst conditions. You know, while you enjoy Christmas morning or your summer vacation that you've been longing for so long, I panicked because I knew the demand for child sex would increase because people started to have time on holidays. And who are the people who buy children for sex? These are not any scumbags. These are people we trust on a daily basis. Police officers, lawyers, doctors, teachers, people we trust our children to. And the reason why I'm so frustrated is that people don't understand what is going on. Trafficking is everywhere. It happens right in front of you, and you don't even know. What you're looking at. I was asked today, the stupid question of, so you still messed up? I was never messed up. I had a normal reaction to something really, really, really unnormal that should have never happened to me. Yes, I suffer from PTSD. Yes, I have anxiety. Yes, I'm working on it. And so are all the other survivors out there.
I'll stop there just because, again, I can't play the whole thing, but it's another one I highly recommend checking out. Watch the whole thing for yourself. This is mirrored from her channel, but it looks like Coco Berthmann is the name, CocoBerthmann. You want to check that out, Coco Berthmann, and that's her story right there about what's happening in Vegas. Okay, this is so classic. Man, what a monster. I typically don't like to go into these kind of attacks on people like this. You're a monster, and all this, but I always get this feeling by certain politicians, and like Hillary Clinton's another one. She just really gives me the creeps. And I can imagine being in a room with her and probably feeling kind of the evil oozing off of her. She's just one example. The Bush family, both Bush presidents, same thing. To me, they just seem so creepy and eerie and odd. And there's so many videos of their eyes flipping to the slits, and things like this. So it's just, anyway, Pelosi, though, is another one. She's, to me, just such a creature. But right here, she's telling the truth about something. This is from June 2017, but this is one of those where they, finally tell the truth about something without meaning to. They say it as if it's, as if they're away from it or not a part of this, but obviously they're telling you the truth. This is one of their smear tactics. This is the way they do it. Check it out. This is exactly what you see in media all the time.
Don't engage in the politics of personal destruction. The fact is that if we just talk about the issues, for example, I think it'd be interesting to people in these districts to know that the speaker wants to take away the guarantee of Medicare. So I think talking about issues is where we should be. What is the difference in one person being speaker than another? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident. But I think I'm worth the trouble, quite frankly. I love the fray. I'm not disrespectful of people's views.
Oh, gosh, what a creature. But listen to that once again and just think about what's happening in politics and media today, man. It's just the exact same thing. This is what they do. This is probably in Rules for Radicals from Saul Alinsky.
What is the difference in one person being speaker than another? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And
Gross. The games they play, huh? Legacy internet brand AOL created Moloch database system that features an owl as its logo. It's from April 23rd, 2020. But I see stuff like this, to me, it's just more of the beast system manifesting, more of the truth of all this stuff coming to light. You know, it was always there. It was always under the surface. It was always in the hearts and minds of these men and women behind these companies and corporations. Anyway, Moloch. Full packet capture, Moloch. Just the Moloch owl, of course. Yeah. Wow, this is I guess kind of a doom break. I don't know what to make of this. It definitely makes me feel weird. It's a bit off-putting. It feels like a live animation. That's why I feel weird about it. But this is apparently a real baby. And it's got 18.7 million views. People are tripping out because of the size of this baby. Look at this. And wait, let's see how old the baby is. I think it's I don't know. I feel like it's maybe 3 years old, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's months old. I'm not sure. Anyway, watch this.
Wanna dance, but she don't know how to. I'm iced out, ooh, looking like a star. Her name is Jenny, ooh, bitch don't have no panties, ooh.
I don't know. Is it cute or is it creepy? You know? Is it 3 or is it 3 months? If it's 3 months, then this is really creepy and scary. I don't know. What do you think? It's a big baby, no matter what. Be even creepier if we find out it's like a 40-year-old man. It's just got some kind of a disease or something. All right, fair enough. There's your doom break. Oh, here's Karen blocks the path with a big stick and tries to hit a runner who is trying to pass. Karen's the term that they've placed on tattletales, people during the lockdown who are tattling on others. Look at this.
I'll jump on his head, fam.
Ah, man. Chesa. I don't know if he's monetized this or not. I'd like to play it, though. Yeah, check this out. This is a good one. An angry dad gets his son to apologize after a video of him abusing ASDA staff goes viral, and that's like a grocery store, ASDA. Okay, check this out.
You understand? You're not Yeah, of course it'll melt my way.
I swear, when the next I'm gonna come as later, you'll make
fucking axe, man. I'll cut you up.
Alright, come back here. I'm gonna fucking smash you up, mate. Just come. How old are you? Fucking off now.
Fuck you. How old are you? It's like 8 years old.
You couldn't even make out what he was saying, honestly. But anyway, here's where it gets good right here.
This is my son, Charlie Baldwin. Name and shame on gospel or where. This is the boy that's so disgusting that everyone's put on Asda's. Here he is today, and this is what's going to happen.
I didn't mean for any of this to happen. It's just angry.
And what else, Charlie?
No, say that I'm sorry.
But you're sorry to who, Charlie? And all the members of staff at Asda. Embarrassing people, yeah? Because you're a foul-mouthed little bastard, ain't ya? Not being rude, I'm your dad. And I've had to bring you down here because you disrespect everyone. And now you're plastered all over Facebook. It's disgusting, Charlie. We don't bring you up like this. Do we, Charlie? There you go. And apologise to the gentleman. And he will never, I promise you now, mate, he will never come round here again. All right, I promise you that. All right? And
Man, even that, it reminds me of Black Mirror, you know. We really are, of course, in kind of a Black Mirror type of reality now in so many ways. What a classic example of predictive programming, whether intentioned or just spiritual, if you will, is the Black Mirror series. If you've never seen that, you should check it out. Here's something we're seeing a lot more news on, more of a trend, and it's about, again, the aftermath. You know, it'll have to do with the food. What's going to happen with that? Dumped milk, smashed eggs, plowed vegetables, food waste of the pandemic. It's from the New York Times. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's a long article, but I wanted to share. If you want to check that out, this is just one. I think I've got a few stories on this tonight or today. U.S. police departments deployed drones donated by Chinese manufacturer. So another one of those examples of how China is the testing ground for all these different elements of the NWO. And then all of a sudden, especially through this events that just happened, now we find a lot of that coming home, coming to America and showing up in our police departments. This happened under Obama as well. Remember, under Obama, that's where we got the militarized police department, was under Obama. And a lot of that was equipment that they'd actually used over in Afghanistan or, you know, the Middle East. And they brought back to America, like tons of the equipment would come back to America, and it went straight to police departments. That's where even the police started looking different, started dressing differently. A lot of them have that tactical gear and stuff like that now. And even back in, I think, 2012-ish or so, I made a video talking about this. I've put this in a few videos, but right around that time, there was either a Super Bowl or a Grammy Awards show. I think it was one of the two, but it was Beyonce performing, and it was all these militarized police. This was during the Obama regime, but I remember seeing that, and also there was just stories. Again, I don't know the name of the video I did, but just seeing that as something coming for America was more militarized police, and it did. I mean, of course it did, but you can see it being programmed to us, predictive programming with this Beyonce performance. Maybe it was the Grammys, I'm not sure, but it was her with a bunch of militarized police. It's pretty crazy. You should check that out. So there we go. Chinese drones coming to America. Yay. At least 10 meat packing plants close in weeks across America, stoking food shortage fears. Hormel Food Corporations announced Jennie-O Turkey Store Inc. will temporarily pause operations. Steve Licken, president of Jennie-O Turkey Store, said the health, well-being, and safety of our team members is our top priority. Out of an abundance of caution, we've decided to take a pause in operations. Here's an update, 23rd. Food shortages across the country are coming a lot quicker than anyone has anticipated. A total of 8 meatpacking plants have already gone offline in weeks. On Thursday morning, we noted how pork shortages could hit households by the first week of May. Tyson Foods, another one. All right, man. That's on Zero Hedge if you want to see that story on Zero Hedge. At least 10 meatpacking plants close in weeks across America. Shoot, I don't know if I'm allowed to show this one either. I thought it was just something kind of interesting I stumbled on. It's from June 22nd, 2017. This was the, remember they had the news story come out about the guy that went to the pizza parlor, Alephantis's pizza parlor, and apparently did some bang bang or something like that. Well, this is apparently this is the guy that did it. This is raw footage of him on the way to DC before he did what he did, and he's talking about his kids and his family. This is one of those that might be, again, a trigger thing for YouTube. I don't know, so that's why I'm not sure if I should play it. But if you want to go watch it, not much happens, but if you want to, fill in some blanks, maybe feel for yourself if this guy's real, if he's an actor, I don't know, but check it out. Raw Pizzagate suspect records message to his family on way to DC. It's on WUSA 9. Oh, the crown virus derails Marina Abramovic's Maria Callas opera. 7 deaths of Maria Callas should have been the culmination of a 60-year obsession. Now its future is uncertain. And this is the witch, the famous witch, connected to politicians on the highest levels and celebrities as well. Marina Abramovic has pulled off some crazy feats in a decade-spanning career. The 73-year-old, tell me this lady's not drinking blood. 73 years old. That's a 73-year-old right there. In a decade-spanning career, the 73-year-old Serbian performance artist has walked more than 1,000 miles along the Great Wall of China, has laid within a gasoline-soaked pentagram and set it afire. And at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, she sat perfectly still in an atrium 6 days a week for months. What she didn't manage, though, was to stage the premiere of a new opera in the middle of a pandemic. But she tried. For the past month, Miss Abramovic has been based in Munich, developing 7 Deaths of Maria Callas, a music theater work about the tragic myths surrounding the American-born Greek soprano at the Bavarian State Opera. I wonder if that's connected to the Bavarian Illuminatis. Combining elements of video and performance art, the piece strings together 7 famous arias associated with Callas and new music by composer Marko Nikojevic. If the piece is a medley of Callas's greatest hits, it also features some of Miss Abramovic's. Each of the arias is accompanied by a short film in which Miss Abramovic plays opposite the Hollywood actor Willem Dafoe. Well, that's a bummer. See, now I don't like Willem Dafoe. I never knew much about him. He's always one of those guys I never heard much about, never associated him with any of the Illuminati eye symbols, or couldn't remember if I'd seen him in movies with any direct association. It's just one of those in the back of my head I just wasn't sure about, and then here you go. This is really all you need to know. This is all I need to know. These feature symbols that recur in Miss Abramovic's work: knives, snakes, fire, clouds, and by the opera's climax, the identities of the 2 women have become so confused it's hard to know which diva it's really about. As recently as late March, at Miss Abramovic's request, the Bavarian State Opera was still investigating whether the work's scheduled April 11th premiere could go ahead, live streamed online but with no audience in the theater. In an interview then, the company's artistic director said he was considering removing seats from the orchestra level so musicians could space out and perform while maintaining social distancing. But in a statement on April 1st, the company said the alternatives it had been exploring were not justifiable and postponed the first performance to an unspecified later date. I was hoping that the angels will help us, Miss Abramovic said in an interview with the announcement. Every day more and more, but it's impossible. The premiere would have been the culmination of an obsession with Callas that began when Miss Abramovic was 14. She recalled first hearing the diva sing on the radio in her grandmother's kitchen in what was then Yugoslavia. I was mesmerized, and I had goose pimples and total electricity in my body, she said. Later on, I knew everything about her, Miss Abramovic said. I read 8 biographies, all of them. And there was so much similarity that I see in myself. We are Sagittarius, the same. We had bad mothers. And then also this incredible intensity in the emotions that she can be fragile and strong at the same time. All right. We get it. We get it. It's cool. I may save this for a bigger video. I've been trying to find some new stuff on Marina ever since the ad with Gates, Microsoft. Marina Abramovic just wants, you know what, theorist to let her be. I think I showed this last time. I did. It's where she answered everybody calling her out on social media about spirit cooking and whatnot. Gross. I was trying to find some of the... I guess there isn't. Just a news story. I was hoping there might be some tweets or something like that, or some Instagram to show you where people were calling her out. But she says, "I'm an artist, not a Satanist." The performance artist said after an online outcry prompted Microsoft to take down a video of her. It's not the first time she's faced the accusation. All right, we get it. Enough about her. I think I can play this. This looks really interesting. I just wanted to share it with you. It's called Spaceship Earth trailer, Biosphere 2 documentary.
As I look at Biosphere 2 and I'm ready to enter, I take my last breaths of this atmosphere for 2 years.
I'll skip around a little bit on it.
The first Biosphereans. How can you prepare yourself for journey into the unknown?
A biosphere is a closed system with plants and animals and the atmospheres all inside. We called it Biosphere 2. A rainforest, a desert, and an ocean with a living coral reef.
It was a global curiosity. 8 human beings separated from life.
Go lead it.
The 8 Biosphereans are now quarantined together.
The negativity started.
Fighting is taking away from us accomplishing our objectives.
That set off alarms to me.
I don't want to talk about it.
Hard.
There was something to hide.
And this really shocking thing happened. There's a sudden spike in CO2.
We were suffocating and starving.
It was not legal.
Everything.
All right. Yeah, I don't want to play the whole thing again just in case, but wow. I haven't looked to see if this is out yet. Oh, I guess it says 2021, so I guess not. But this is one I'll be looking forward to. I like documentaries like this. This looks crazy. It's really like they tried to create a utopia here on Earth, right? And it failed. Be interesting to see that. A sad and evil day. New York legalizes the bat operation up to baby's birthday on anniversary of R.V. Wade. The Reproductive Health Act passed with a 38-28 vote and was signed into law by New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Today, we're taking a giant step forward in a hard-fought battle to ensure a woman's right to make her own decisions about her own personal health, including the ability to access one of those operations. The law erases New York's previous limitations, which restricted the fatal procedure past 24 weeks. Supporters say those late-term operations are being allowed in order to protect the lives of women, but pro-life advocates say that it's just a ruse, pointing out that those late-term babies are clearly viable human lives who could otherwise survive outside the womb. There you go. All right, New York. There you go. More and more evil. Oh, here's one for you conspiracy theorists, quote unquote. I really don't like the term, but a lot of times we all use it because it's so inclusive and you kind of get it, you know, but we can call ourselves so much more. But still, for those of you in this kind of realm, you may have heard of a man named Clyde Lewis. He does a thing called Ground Zero Radio. And I'd say he's fairly well known in these areas. He's kind of like an Art Bell type character, kind of a George Norrie type character, if you will. But he covers a lot of the type of stuff we do, a lot of the news we do, a lot of the type of videos I make. He covers similar topics. So Clyde Lewis. So anyway, for those of you who know, apparently they're in some trouble because of this crown virus is even affecting their live show. So I figured I'd play some of this for you Clyde Lewis fans. And if you're not, say he gets into, you know, paranormal, supernatural, government stuff, you name it, some spiritual type stuff here and there, but, you know, interesting stuff mostly. But anyway, here's his message. I'll play some for you.
Everyone, as promised, I was going to put together a video to inform you what's going on behind the scenes with the show. As you can see, we're all pretty scruffy because we haven't been able to go to our beauty salons and take care of our beauty. I mean, yeah, beauty. I wanted to let you guys all know a few things. One, I think today is the official day that we switch over to another network. Now, we don't know how long this is going to last us. And the reason why I say this is because we need to evaluate the costs of running the program. Now, we've been keeping costs pretty low, and that's one of the things about Ground Zero is we have been able to stack it deep, sell it cheap, and that's always been pretty much my modus operandi is that I don't want to, you know, overstate or over ask or whatever for money, and we've kept our sponsors, you know, pretty low key. We got rid of some that were over the top and got some that were a little bit more in the, I believe, the pay scale of the listener. And so that's why things are more affordable. Our food that we've been providing for you at preparewithgroundzero.com, we oversold because everybody got it. So we had to just limit ourselves to what we call the month's supply of food, which is now $197, which is usually about $200 more, or $297. So we've lowered the cost. So, you know, even very little we're getting from it because we want you to have it.
But see, even there, and I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I do have to kind of call it out. But he has the same sponsor I have. You know, a lot of us have the same sponsors because these companies reach out to a whole bunch of people, you know, and, you know, you'll see a lot of the same ads on a lot of different videos. And I know some of you don't like it, but that really is kind of the new way ever since the censorship on social media in general and YouTube and everything else. That's kind of what a lot of us have had to go to just to kind of help out a little bit, and, you know, Patreon or PayPal and stuff like that. But anyway, he's got My Patriot Supply. I do too, because they have a month on there that's $197. It's the same amount. And even on the ad, they do say they took $100 off. It's a long time ago. I guess it was $297, but we didn't do that. That's all part of the offer. You know, it's like they just show you they took $100 off. It's $197. So the company did it. It's not like he did it or I did it or anything else. It just comes that way, you know, like on the 2-week deal they have, it's $87. Even that they took some money off and they show you that, you know, but that's all part of the deal, you know. So minor thing. I'm just saying, I just want to throw it out there. You know, I mean, I don't like when I see stuff like that. If I see someone who I've heard some of his radio shows. I like some of the topics and stuff, but you know, if I catch someone like this, and I just noticed it off the top, kind of being a little bit deceitful, it's just, yeah, you know, I'm not crazy about that. But then again, you know, on the good side, he does bring light to some interesting topics, I'll say, and all that. So let's continue.
And with the meat situation going on and the food chain situation going on, we're urging you again to go to preparewithgroundzero.com. I had a friend of mine call me today, actually, and asked me, so how are you guys living in your house without going shopping? Because we've been, you know, staying at home. I says, dude, we had the food. We prepared. And so the only thing we're running out of now are running out of meat. We're running out of, and that's, I don't know if it's going to pick up, but get in the queue anyway. You need to get in the queue so you have your food come if there is a shortage of supply. I don't know how many files we have. We had that file dump we did a while back with magazines and research periodicals from the 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s about UFOs. We have files about the moon. We have grimoires. We have books on the occult that are in the library that were from we unloaded it.
Oh, and by the way, I don't think he's a Christian, by the way. If you listen to the stuff he's talking about, I'm trying to find the part where he is talking about what's happening to the show. But like the first several minutes, he's sitting there pushing the food, you know, and it's like, come on, man. So, but I also get it. I think they lost sponsorships or something. That's what I'm trying to find it where he just gets to the point. So let me see if I can find that.
Anything from the malice month is not going to pay operating costs anymore.
Also, I'll throw this in. I don't think he's a Satanist or anything like that either. He could be a Christian. I'm not sure. I haven't listened to enough of the man's stuff to know totally where he's at. Maybe like me, I'd studied some scary books years ago, you know, to learn more about things, to understand how the occult works and stuff. And, you know, I apply it to what I do now. So there's that too. Again, I don't know a whole lot about Clyde Lewis, but still wanted to share this because I know he's got an audience, so let me try to find what he's
Operating
saying.
costs are a lot of money. And it's not just based on ratings, it's not just it's based on revenue. And it's the revenue sharing aspects that can either make us or break us.
It's going to come out of your pocket now.
It's going to come out of my pocket. And so luckily I've saved and set aside the stuff. But I have staff I have to pay. I mean, I'm pretty generous, right, Ron?
Mm-hmm.
I'm very generous to my staff.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Give me that busy. Better say it. No, I am. I'm pretty generous to my staff. I pay them just a little bit above scale because I remember what it was like to be a producer, and I remember I kept feeling like I was doing a lot of hard work and getting nothing in return.
Plus, we get barbecue once in a while. It's like
I cater the show every once in a while to help everybody out, let them know I care and love them. We have pie. We have we have all kinds of cool things. Uber Eats is just working out just fine. Anyway, but that comes out of my pocket. That doesn't come out of the money that comes into the show for the staff and everything else. So, I do that. We also have Patreon. Patreon is actually, and will continue.
All right, I'm not really interested in this anymore. I can't find the part that I wanted to share. It says Stasi, okay. But anyway, I'm sorry about that, guys. I thought there was more to it. I thought somebody might be interested in hearing about him, but it just seems like he's mainly just asking for money. I couldn't find the part where he was explaining what happened, so my bad. Here's one just for fun, a bit of a doom break I wanted to share. This is a prank some kids played on their teacher, and let's see how this worked out. This is really an amazing prank, though. Check this out. This is short. That was pretty great, you got to admit. Okay, here we go. Good times ahead on YouTube. As always, guys, this is where, it's just, it really is insane that anybody can still be on here talking about anything outside the mainstream, but that's where I go, like I said, on the prayer side of things. I just rest in it there, and I'm set up in other sites. If anything bad ever happened, I can always go other places and stuff, but I want to keep going, as long as I can here, just because it's the best place as far as like getting everyone together. It still is, unfortunately, but it is. And so we'll ride it till the wheels fall off and see how it goes. But check this out. This is our fearless leader here.
Beginning of 2020. So we've seen a lot of demand there. But then we also...
What does that mean? That means an increase in video views for those?
Yeah, and so we talk about that as raising authoritative information. But then we also talk about removing information that is problematic. Of course, anything that is medically unsubstantiated, so people saying like, take vitamin C, take turmeric, like those all will cure you. Those are the examples of things that would be a violation of our policy. Anything that would go against World Health Organization recommendations would be a violation of our policy. And so remove.
That's all you need to know right there, man. And the WHO is, of course, a massive tentacle of the beast system, and it's got plenty of controversies about it. Look up, they've had people fired from there that were presidents of the organization, and they've been connected with trafficking and all kinds of stuff. So it's a wicked organization, but of course, that's an authoritative voice. So anything outside of that, no good, right? So what's this? Oh, okay. Pretty classic. Most of you have probably seen this by now, but if not, this has actually happened. This is White House hot mic, and this pretty much explains it all. Check this out.
Doug. The case fatality rate's at 0.1 to 0.3 according to
Is it really? That's reassuring.
USC.
Everybody here's been vaccinated anyway.
USC and LA County Public Health came out with a study. They found that there are 7,000 cases in California, but they really believe that there are anywhere from 221,000 to 442,000 people who were infected.
Really?
So that makes it 0.1 to 0.3. Does the study think about it? Yeah, just give it to that. So it suggests the case fatality rate is 10.
Wow.
Which puts you right in line with the flu. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
So it was a hoax.
I don't think it was a hoax.
It's kind of hard to hear, and sorry about that. I was hoping there's one I'd had up before that actually had a narration, and it was showing what they were saying. But they're basically saying that, they all have the vaccine. They're like, we've all been vaccinated anyway. And the one guy's saying, so it's a hoax, because they're finding out the numbers were a lot lower than what they first were putting out there. So that's all. If you didn't know about it, look it up. White House C virus hot mic.
Welcome back.
Okay, this one right here is someone sent this to me. Check this out. As far as some people call this reptilian shape shifting. A lot of people believe it has to do with liquid crystallization, and rather than a reptilian thing, that's one angle on it all. But I've never been with a lot of that Anunnaki stuff and all this, like the space saviors. That's what it gets into. We're, the seeds of humanity. They brought the seeds of humanity and all this other stuff, panspermia. So I'm not into that stuff, but I do believe in a lizard type people. I've covered that in some videos. Perhaps that's connected to the tears, perhaps. But I do know that these anomalies have been caught for a very long time on people. Certain situations, it only affects them, like their face or their body. It never affects their surroundings. And, sometimes it's the eyes that turn into slits. I believe that could be a form of, showing what's really inside the shell. Maybe that is the tear. Maybe that is the demonic spirit. Maybe it is the lizard person, underneath. Maybe that's what they look like, the seed of the serpent seed, if you will. Anyway, lots of theories, but this is kind of an interesting one. Watch Jenna Bush in the middle. Watch what happens with her.
That might have been scary in itself. Talk to us about what that experience was
Look at
like,
that.
finding out so early on that you guys tested positive. It was scary. I had said to Tom earlier.
Okay, I'll go back to it, and I'll just show you the
that
parts where she's in it, because she keeps
until you have
morphing
a health
out.
crisis. So you were in Australia. You weren't even in your own home. I think, that might have been scary in itself. Talk to us about what that experience was like, finding out so early on that you guys tested positive. It was scary. Was like finding.
Just look at that. I mean, just wow. The connection with Crowley. We've seen lots of videos with Daddy Bush and then Bush W manifesting things like this. Part of this is in my movie, The Scariest Movie Ever Made, that connection with all of this. So I'm not surprised there could be this kind of demonic energy within that family, within the bloodline.
Was like finding out so early on that you guys tested positive. It was scary.
You had an extraordinary post, a beautiful post.
Keep watching her. Look at how she looks.
After you've been cancer-free for 5 years, and you wrote this. Please take a moment today to acknowledge the amazing creation your bodies are, and to thank it for doing so much. I loved that.
Thank you. I thank God every day, and I think then when you were going quarantine stir crazy, I think as you put it, but some people of us can relate to just.
And it came back. See, check that out.
I think as you put it, but some people of us.
I mean, wow.
Can relate to just singing the old songs, but you could rap this every word to precision. Talk to us about what happened. Well,
I think that's pretty much it with her in it, but I've got something else up here. It's from a YouTube channel called Kinnigan 2.0. But this is an oldie but a goodie, but this is Jenna Bush again. Check this out.
Jenna knows all about this primary.
No, I mean, it's been really great. I'm traveling to different high schools
Here it
throughout
comes.
the United States and talking with teenagers and students about Anna and the other kids I met in Latin America. And so far, it's been really inspiring.
And not unpleasant.
But we'll change all that.
No, we're not going to change that.
Don't change it, please.
We will not change it. We will not.
She obviously hasn't seen the show.
People have been nice, and they're not attacking your debt.
My job, I worked for UNICEF, which is an amazing who were living in exclusion, who were living.
She works for UNICEF, and UNICEF is one of those organizations that came out of the Theosophy groups, Alice Bailey, Temple of Understanding, and all that stuff was connected back to St. John's Church. That was in my newest video. Anyway, check this out.
In extreme poverty or living with HIV and write their stories, listen to their stories and write them for UNICEF. And so, I mean, I obviously learned.
That's not normal. It's not some normal camera glitch. If it was a normal kind of camera glitch, we'd see it, a lot more often, wouldn't we? Like all the time, but it's not. It's fairly rare, but it does show up for whatever reason on a lot of celebrities and politicians. There's a really, really famous one on with Robert Pattinson. I think that's his name, from Twilight.
I learned so much from these kids. I learned from Anna in particular.
Watch how it changes. I think it shows it go back. Let's see.
Well, a lot of the kids I met, excluded for living with HIV.
Starts coming back again.
And so they were living really what we were up to.
Anyway, that's all. I just want to share some of that to show you that there's kind of a history around that young lady. Nurses at hospital in Paris recreate Last Supper with themselves as Jesus and his apostles. Man, some of the stuff with the nurses and I can't stand these commercials. They have so many commercials out now. All these corporations are in it now, and every corporation, whether it has to do with healthcare or not, it's got people in masks and sad music and healthcare workers looking brave and strong, and things like this. Come on, man. They got to give people the idols, right? Idols to worship. Jeff Goldblum faces backlash for questioning the anti-homo and anti-woman nature of Islam. The Jurassic Park star made the comments during Friday's episode in which contestants created patriotic drag wear for a Stars and Stripes themed runway show. Oh, he was on RuPaul's Drag Race as a guest judge. Okay. Contestant Darius Rose, drag name Jackie Cox. Wow. Keep it classy, folks. Jackie Cox. We get it. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Wore a flag-inspired ensemble featuring a blue hijab adorned with 50 stars. Jeff Goldblum questioned the anti-woman and anti-homo nature of many Muslim-majority countries around the world and has now been canceled by Twitter's left-wing hate mob, despite the fact that many Muslims fled to the USA precisely to leave their religion's medieval ways behind. Rose, who is of Iranian descent, explained on the show that you can be Middle Eastern, you can be Muslim, and you can still be American. Following the runway presentation, Goldblum asked Rose, "Are you religious, may I ask?" "I'm not," he replied, "and to be honest, this outfit really represents the importance that visibility for people of religious minorities need to have in this country." Okay, keep telling yourself that. Goldblum then asked, "Isn't this an interesting wrinkle, though? Is there something in that religion that is anti-homo and anti-woman? Does that complicate the issue? I'm just raising it and thinking out loud and maybe being stupid, but what do you think?" The actor appeared to be referring to countries that follow Islamic Sharia law, where being gay is a criminal offense and where women are treated as second-class citizens. RuPaul chimed in, seemingly to defend Goldblum's question. I think drag has always been shaking the tree, so to speak. And there's so many different layers to this presentation, and if it was ever going to be done, this is the stage to do it. Rose replied, "It's a complex issue. I have my own misgivings about the way LGBT people are created in the Middle East, or treated in the Middle East. And at the same time, I am one." Later, Darius Rose tearfully recounted how President Trump's Muslim ban took an emotional toll on him. Okay, I've read enough of all this. Come on. Salon owner Shelley Luther rips up citation at Dallas rally after she breaks quarantine and opens her business. I was hoping there'd be a video of that. There you go.
There's been this growing debate in North Texas about how and when the state should reopen its economy. Fox 4's David Santendry has more in a rally about just that subject today. A business going against orders, plus the story of a father who nearly died after getting COVID-19. David?
Yeah, good evening, Blake. Well, Governor Greg Abbott is expected to cut back part of his coronavirus order beginning this Monday. We don't know
Distancing practices Saturday afternoon. They believe reversing the fall of the state's economy is the top priority.
Texas now!
A feeling shared by salon owner Shelley Luther.
And if they want to lock those doors, I'll put chairs out here and my stylist can work on the patio, gladly.
She was served a citation from the city of Dallas and a cease and desist letter from Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins on Friday. Still, she says she's not leaving. A line formed again before she opened again on Saturday. It's unclear what actions officials will take.
Everything's been vague because they're all looking at each other saying, what do we do? Because this is unprecedented.
She's had steady lines of support.
She's fighting the good fight for all of us. As a business owner, every single day matters. It's utterly agonizing to look at a pile of bills and get more bills and know that you're getting further and further behind.
But is it really time to ease up on state and local restrictions in the fight against COVID-19?
All right, we get it. Rarely has humanity experienced collective dreaming on such a broad scale. Experts say we are all sharing the same vivid crown virus nightmares. Have you had any nightmares about this? I haven't. For millions of people around the world dealing with the virus pandemic, sleep is bringing no relief. The horrors of C-19 and the frightening ways it's upended daily life is infecting dreams and exposing feelings of fear, isolation, and grief, according to a range of psychologists. The experts say humanity has rarely experienced collective dreaming on such a broad scale in recorded history, and certainly never while also being able to share those dreams in real time. As far as I know, no one has dream samples from the flu pandemic of 1918, and that would probably be the most comparable thing, Harvard University professor Deidre Barrett told the Associated Press. Now we just all have our smartphones by our beds, so you can just reach over and speak it or type it down. Recording our dreams has never been easier. Barrett, who previously studied the dreams of 9/11 survivors and British prisoners of war in World War II, has already collected 6,000 dream samples from about 2,400 people during the current virus situation. The samples come from people around the world, with many experiencing remarkably similar dreams, showing that the psychological effects are transcending culture, language, and national boundaries. According to Barrett, many people dream they are sick with the virus or are overcome by what seem to be stand-ins for it: swarm of bugs, slithering worms, witches, grasshoppers with fangs. Sounds like the creatures from the pit. Meanwhile, other dreams of losing control. In one such dream, the dreamer was held down by infected people who coughed on her. In another, the dreamer came across bands of people shooting at random strangers. Most are lower-level anxiety dreams, not trauma-induced nightmares, but that changes dramatically for frontline health workers, Barrett says. Could also be just a lot of the programming, right? That everyone's had, Walking Dead and all the zombie stuff up to now, and now you see some, vague possibilities of those kinds of things, and of course the media just pushes it more and more, the fear factor of it all, so it makes sense, right? Can estrogen and other sex hormones help men survive? I don't know why I had that up. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation spending millions creating human implantable quantum dot microneedle vaccine mark with data storage. This is from nowtheendbegins.com. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has donated more than $21 million towards developing a vaccine technology that uses a tattoo-like mechanism which injects invisible quantum dot nanoparticles under the skin that is now being tested in a vaccine against the virus that causes C-19. History will record that 2020 was the year that everyone learned the phrase quantum dot tattoo, as well as recording that this science fiction-esque technology is being funded by Bill Gates and the eponymous foundation him and his wife Melinda preside over. The foundation to date has spent over $21 million developing this new vaccine delivery technology, which can best be described as a mark that is implanted in the human body and is capable of data storage. There you go. Look at those pictures, because he explains it down here. See the X's? It says, look at the glowing X marks you see in the top photo of this article. Those are actual pictures of what it looks like when the quantum dot mark is injected into the human body. Researchers at Massachusetts Institute of Technology have developed a microneedle patch containing a nanocrystal dye that creates near-infrared emitting dots under the skin. The emitted light is then detected by a specially modified smartphone, which is what you're looking at. Wow, check that out, man. That's so creepy. Like I mentioned earlier, the Kim Jong Un stuff, I don't even know what the most recent news is on this. But it keeps going back and forth. He's sick. He's no longer with us. Hillary Clinton says every woman in this country must be able to off their baby in a naughty operation. No surprise there. Just I know for you Hillary Clinton fans, I'm always getting messages every week. KJ, we need more Hillary Clinton. You know, it's like, all right, calm down. I'll try. Christopher Steele, Hillary Clinton, Susan Rice were aware of my Trump probe. Okay, this is stuff that was just on my own. I was looking at. Sorry. Here we go. YouTube deletes David Icke's channel. Did you guys know about this? YouTube deleted David Icke's channel. I think it had something to do with the virus. YouTube has deleted, they have to always say that, conspiracy theorist David Icke's account. The video sharing site said the 68-year-old violated its policies on sharing information about the virus. The former footballer has made controversial, unproven claims about it on several internet platforms, including one that's linked to the 5G mobile network. The video service, which is owned by Google, told the BBC, YouTube has clear policies prohibiting any content that disputes the existence and transmission of C-19 as described by the WHO and the NHS. Due to continued violation of these policies, we have terminated David Icke's YouTube channel. The ban follows a similar move by Facebook, which removed Icke's page on Friday. It comes in waves, huh? Well-known medics and broadcasters, including Dr. Christian Jessen and former junior Dr. Adam Kay, have called on social networks to remove Icke from their platforms. They are backed by the Center for Countering Digital Hate. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. CCDH, huh? Well, that's too bad. I've never been a huge David Icke fan because I feel he is, you know, he's a bit of his own kind of disinfo. He does put out a lot of good information, but then it's kind of like what AJ turned into, A. Jones a bit, you know. It's like, but then he can kind of be used by the mainstream media to kind of put up as the face of everybody questioning the narrative. They call us, you know, conspiracy theorists or whatever, but it's always an Alex Jones. Now the new one on him is he's saying he was going to eat someone's ass or something on a radio show. Now that's a meme and everyone's talking about it and weird stuff, man. But like I said, that's what you'll get, you know, that these are the faces now of the so-called truth community, you know, so they're going to be put up in these stories. And he probably should have known better with the way YouTube is now about the way you approach these subjects. You can't be so bold. You know, you may be trying to prove a point. I'm brave. I'm going to say what I want. Well, you can't on the new YouTube. I mean, we got to be wise as serpents with this stuff, you know, so I don't know. There's that. There he is. YouTube top official mocks content creators in their basement. Let's see. Every YouTube employee should get down on their knees and thank the video creators, mostly working from home, for making that site an enormous success over the years. Instead, the attitude emanating from YouTube recently has been one of denigration and mockery of those same creators in favor of promoting mainstream media channels, despite the fact that YouTube has grown primarily because viewers wanted an alternative to the mainstream media. The latest example of a YouTube official sneering at the very creators who brought them to the table of success comes in the form of YouTube Chief Product Officer Neil Mohan mocking the people who made his big salary possible as espousing their opinions in their basement, quote unquote. Mohan's sneer at the creative community while hyping the authoritative voices of the MSM came during an interview with the Protocol Channel's David Pierce on April 23rd when answering a question by about YouTube moderating censoring content due to health authorities changing their advice about wearing masks. This is the reason why I feel strongly that when users are looking for this information, this is what he said, making sure that we're raising up authoritative voices is important, because the way that the question around masks would be covered by a credible sort of authoritative voice channel is that there would be context. There would be explanations behind why a particular mask decision is made or not, and are not so by the user. The viewer of that content on our platform can make an informed decision on him or herself. Okay, boring. Says, of course, no praising of authoritative voices by a YouTube official could be complete without following up with a mockery of the very creators who made YouTube successful. Mohan said, as opposed to, it's somebody espousing their opinions about a mask, in their basement. This is coming from an authoritative channel, a news source, a medical professional, and if that's the case, we think there's going to be some context that's provided around the question of masks, and even if that guidance changes, it will be reflected in sort of how an authoritative voice or channel talks about it. Okay, we get it. We get it. They're killing YouTube. We understand. Dr. Fauci backed controversial Wuhan lab with millions of US dollars for virus research. Just throwing that out there. This is Sweden. It says, this is Sweden. A girl's brutally assaulted by a gang. They stomp on her, shouting every word in Arabic. What's happened to my country? Where are the feminists protesting this? I don't think I'm allowed to play that, so I'll just kind of leave that there. But if you want to see the footage, it's Peter Sweden on Twitter, Peter Sweden. And there it is. There it is. There it is. California cops heckled as they tell a 93-year-old couple they can sit in chairs on the beach, or they can't sit in chairs on the beach. Oh boy. This is another one that was just on my own, sorry.
Yesterday.
Okay, check this out. This has to do with food. Shad Sullivan, we are being forced to dump your food supply. This is on Joaquin Maya YouTube channel.
The first shipment of producers and consumers across the nation to start calling. Yesterday, the first shipment of imported beef from the country of Namibia hit the shores of the United States of America. And yet this morning, they are telling us to prepare to euthanize harvest-ready cattle. Am I the only one that sees a problem in this? It is time we get the American people back to work. It is time we get money flowing. It is time we get food on the shelves. Because if you're not concerned about this food supply problem, you better be. We have a huge supply and demand of food across this nation. We can feed the world ourselves, and yet we're destroying our harvests. At the same time, we are importing beef from other countries, beef that is less regulated than our beef, less safe, not as high quality of product, and yet it's happening. At the same time, they are preparing for us to euthanize our harvests. Does that make sense to America? For the last 10 years, we have been pressed to be sustainable. I've said all along, sustainability is a fraud. And right now, we're being forced to destroy our harvests. That doesn't sound like sustainability to me, but it is part of the overall goal to vertically integrate your food system. You see, they cannot have control of the people unless they have control of the food, the water, the land, production. It is time we get back to work. It is time the American people force the government to listen to us. We are of, by, and for the people. This is not Nancy Pelosi's country. This is not Donald Trump's country. This is your country, and you're going to go hungry. We need to get going on this today, not tomorrow, today. You need to be calling your legislators. We need to be opening up the country. Your food supply is in danger. Ranchers are going broke every day. We're doing all we can to stay here. We are in crisis in America. This is a crisis. This is a national crisis. And everybody's just sitting back enjoying their time off, enjoying that $1,200, not knowing that overnight you're going to go hungry. It's coming. Ladies and gentlemen, we need your help. We need your help today. Everybody, all hands on deck. It's time. We need you to go to demandUSAbeef.com, sign the petition for country of origin labeling. People want to know where their food comes from. I don't want any beef out of Namibia. I don't want any beef out of Brazil. I want my own beef. I'm blessed to be able to eat my own beef, but a lot of you aren't, and you need the freedom to choose your product.
All right, just want to share some of that about the food issues. Here's some footage about what they did in Michigan. You may have heard about a bunch of the citizens in Michigan are getting really tired of a little monster in charge out there, Whitmer, I think her name is. So they showed up at the state house, and a lot of them were armed or whatnot, but it was peaceful. This is put out by somebody who tried to frame it as, something bad about Trump, I guess. This is America in the age of Trump. But, this is what it's, come to for some people. And, it's the whole reason that we're supposed to have our freedom to have our weapons or whatnot. It's to hold off government tyranny. I can't remember exactly how that was worded, but, I remember the basics. Anyway, here you go. Look at that, right in front of us, twin pillars on top of the black cube. So you got the twin pillars of masonry, and you've got the cube of Saturn there. Perfect. I just noticed the checkerboard floor. Seriously, look at that, right beyond. They're all on a checkerboard floor. So there you go. We busted that as it happened, didn't we? Here you have it.
The White House is reporting.
That's just more the headline. Report White House investigating China and WHO. I mentioned a few weeks ago what I've been watching for trends is more of these kind of trends towards a actual conflict with China. A lot of people have thought that it might be Iran that'll be kind of the triggering event for that type of a war and to bring China in. But I've been noticing more and more stories kind of angling that way. So we'll see what happens. Let's see. Illegal alien charge. Hold on. Oh, sorry about that. Illegal alien charged with 125 counts of child prawn involving toddlers. Gross. That just recently happened. An illegal alien has been charged in Polk County, Florida for possessing more than 200 video files depicting child prawn, some involving toddlers. I don't want to read any more. It's just, I guess I'm sharing that because I mean, we forget that there's real monsters out there. You know, there's real monsters. And it's a good thing that we can't understand why they do these things. We don't want to understand why they do these things. But yeah, anyway, there you go. There you have it. Crazed Dr. Fauci says sports will not happen this year, wants to isolate players. Maniac will bankrupt America if he's not stopped. It's from the Gateway Pundit. Personally, I'm okay if they don't bring back sports. That's me. This is from a nurse in Portland, Oregon, and this is kind of her story. Let's check this out. Hospital empties from the Steele Report, April 28th. We'll play a little bit of this.
A ton of nurses because we are in financial crisis. We have 0 patients. Our hospitals have been dead. We have, at the highest surge, we had 9 COVID patients. We had 9 COVID patients in the highest surge. Right now, we have, I think, 1. We had a handful a couple days ago. Our hospital decided that they need to start cutting money because we have no money flowing in. Our surgeries are shut down. We're pulling nurses and having them start cleaning stations because we need to give them a job. That's all been cut off. Nurses are being laid off. I'm the one that's supposed to be having a job here. This whole thing is supposed to be protect the nurses, protect the healthcare workers, protect the frontline people, protect the hospitals, shut down the businesses. It's all in vain. This is an absolute all.
If I knew how to do a split screen video edit, I don't have that with my editor, but I would do a short video with a split screen with her talking on one side and the other side, all of these ridiculous and obnoxious TikTok, Instagram, and even commercials now of dancing doctors and nurses.
All in vain. If you can't see that this thing is ridiculous, then you have to have a come to Jesus moment. Your come to Jesus moment needs to be right now. I'm a nurse. I'm with COVID patients. I just got laid off because the state of Oregon has had a major power grab, major overreach, complete tyranny, and I'm the one that's supposed to be working. I don't work in a coffee shop. I don't work at a gas station. I am a nurse. I'm supposed to be working on my ears. I'm supposed to have bruises on my ears from the mask. I'm supposed to have chapped skin from the goggles. I don't have any of that because I don't even have a job right now. They don't know when I can have a job back. I asked them, what are the measurable goals? When can I get back on the schedule? We don't know. I said, when are we going to go pick up surgeries? 50%. We don't know. Look, I don't blame my hospital. They're doing what they're being told they should do. I blame the government. I 100% blame the government on this total overreach. I, right here, am a nurse. I am the 5 o'clock news. I should be front of the newspapers. What is going on? If the nurses don't have jobs, then is there a problem? Do we really have a pandemic here in Oregon? Do we? I don't think so. I think there are absolute measurable goals, small things that can be done to open businesses. Social distancing, limit the number of customers. Like I said, hospitals can open up surgery. That is our bread and butter. Surgery, open them up. We're not low on PPE. We are lower than normal, but we're not in dire need. We're told we don't dare bring in your homemade mask. That's not allowed in my hospital. That's fine with me. I don't think you should. But the media is putting out there that we're overloaded, that we need free Starbucks and 50% off of Taco Bell, and free UGG slippers or whatever. No, we don't need any of that because we're not working. We don't need any of that because we're not working. I do need it because I'm not working. But
what about the unemployment?
The unemployment. I was told that I can't get unemployment because I'm an on-call nurse. I had to look into this more. On-call nurse, what I was told was that it's not a benefited position, which is not. It's not a benefited position. That's fine. I took the job. I like my job. But I was told it's not a benefited position, so I cannot apply for unemployment. So now I have to scramble through, look at my contract, look at my job description, and see if that's even a possibility. So I'll cross my fingers on that. But my hospital right now is in such dire straits financially that they are laying off nurses.
Wow, and there you have that. And sorry about that audio. Some of these things I can't help, guys. The audio from the video is kind of low, and all I can do is just kind of put my mic right there by the speaker, and I hope that works. Usually I think it works out okay, but sometimes it might be a little little off. So my apologies if so. Last story from Zero Hedge, 6.66 trillion. Says, well, at least our satanic overlords have a sense of humor. According to the latest Fed balance sheet, as of April 29th, the Fed's balance sheet increased by $82.8 billion over the past week, rising to a record what is that, billion or trillion? I guess that's 6,655,929,000,000, which of course rounds up to 6.66 trillion. Okay. Also, who can possibly forget that 666 was also the generational bottom of the S&P hit on March 6th, 2009. Anyway, whether one uses the rounded up or unrounded number, the Fed's balance sheet has increased by 2.5 trillion in the past 2 months and continues to grow as per the following schedule, which sees the Fed purchasing on average, a bunch of money talk, and that's boring to us. But the 666 trillion, yeah, quite telling, I'd say. And that actually is the last story. It's my last story of the day, man. So jump back over here for a little bit to the chat. Say hi to everybody. How you doing? Hey, thank you. And thank you for the guys. Thank you very much for the super chats, guys. I don't ever see that while I'm live. So, man, thank you very much. Let me see if I can post that. I can't, but I see a 51 from Mega Madra. Thank you. From Jay, $5. Thank you. From the tune-up number 1, $5. Thank you all very much for that. I appreciate it. And thank you all for being here, man. Hope you enjoyed the show. It's always a pleasure spending some time with you. I'm glad we made it. The show actually completed. This is a good sign, man. So I've got a couple videos coming up this week. I may even do another live show before next Friday, before my next What Happened show. We'll do a live one maybe with Jeff or something. We'll see. I'll have to see what his schedule's like. And let me see if I can get a little background right there for us while we're just sitting here chatting. And just want to say a big shout out to the moderators. Thank you again so much for all you do. Thank you so much to the Patreon and PayPal supporters. Thank you very much out there. Appreciate you. I always like to leave these with a short prayer, if you don't mind, folks. So I'll just quickly say, Heavenly Father, thank you once again for the fact that we can be here, we can meet up, we can have these shows, talk, discuss all the current events in this world, and all the while watching for your return. So thank you very much, Father, for being here with us and for helping us to have a full show this time with no interruptions. That was awesome. So thank you. And, Lord, for all those out there who are living in fear because things are going a little crazy right now, please be with them, give them peace of mind, calm, and show them the way to move forward, not in fear, but in full on trust and faith in you. And just, Father, thanks for being with all of us right now. There's a lot of people out there suffering. Some people are still doing all right, but there's a lot of people who are really hurting. So, Father, please just be with everybody out there and help us all to just not focus on the negatives and to put our faith and trust in you and to not be surprised if we see little miracles in our lives, just after asking, for praying for these things. Because I know it's possible and I know you'll do it for us, Lord. So thank you. And on that note, I love you. And in Jesus' name I pray, amen. Guys, thank you so much, man. Once again, I got more stuff coming up this week. So thanks as always. I hope you're all doing well out there, for real, man. Take care of yourselves. Be cool. Let's not freak out. We'll all be here, kind of watching it as it goes and talking about it and at least keeping each other company. You know what I mean? So till next time, take it easy.